Very good morning, everyone. How are you? We are live now. So I would really want all of you to join. Okay, I see Shraddha is there, Chalu is there, Sandeep is there. How are you guys doing? How is this morning? A big day for people at the final level, right? A lot of your friends or seniors, if you know, finals result is today, 10th of February. Hi Hina, hi Harsh, hi Pooja, hi Lucy, how are you? Same to you. Right? Have a great day today though. I think a lot of you should join today because today is the last session. We will try to complete as much as we can, probably within within the next 1.5 or 2 hours. Chapter 8 complete kar lenge. Small topics are left. And then I would really want to do a case scenario today, right? Because case scenarios are something that we need to discuss. Plus subjective questions kaise solve kare. I want to spend 1 full hour on discussing questions. तो बहुत ही क्विकली वील कंप्लीट चैप्टर नंबर 8 टुडे. छोटे छोटे स्मॉल टॉपिक्स, लॉजिकल टॉपिक्स, राइट? Hey Ananya, how are you? I should be great. Hi Sandeep. Absolutely. Yep. Foundation also, and final also. That is right. Do you have two results? Yes. Today is the last day. I'm also good, Shraddha. I'm also good. Right. We just wait for another 30 seconds maximum, and then we'll quickly start. Hey Dora, how are you? Hey Sushil. Good. Keep joining so that we can interact more. You can get your queries and doubts solved today, right? So, because today is the last session, probably you would want all your doubts or questions or any of the concept that is not clear to be cleared by today, right? इसके बाद मिलना थोड़ा सा मुश्किल होगा. So it's better you get everything clarified, all the concepts. कुछ question है, कुछ doubt है. Think hard if you have any questions or doubts. We can take that up in the last 1 hour, right? Pehla 1.5 hour, we will focus on chapter 8, right? I will very quickly go through chapter number 8 because very small topics, बहुत ही logical topics हैं, right? You wouldn't need much question. ये बहुत ही psychological, logical है. क्या करना चाहिए, control कैसे होता है, right? How is a strategy change affecting a company वगैरह. So we will study that. Hey Shrishti, hi Raman, how are you? Awesome. Let us quickly, without wasting much time and respecting time of people who have joined on time, let us start with chapter number 8, right? Wherein we were talking about implementation of strategy. We were talking about control, how to control a strategy, how to implement a strategy, how to control a strategy. Right? In the last session, we were talking about it, wherein we studied the interrelationship between strategy formulation and implementation, effectiveness, efficiency per liya, right? Then the formulation sound hai, implementation strong hai. How does that matrix work? वो भी समझ लिया था, right? Today we'll start with strategic change. The idea today is to start with strategic change. But what is a change, right? But what is a change? So a change is a complex process, right? Anything, whenever you change something, it's a complex process. बहुत कुछ देखना पड़ता है. Because once you change something, it doesn't just mean changing one particular thing. It means that change is going to affect an organization. That change in a particular thing, in a particular strategy, is going to affect a lot of things, right? A change in strategy can mean change in functions, change in organizational structure, change in corporate culture, change in XYZ, change in market acquisition, change in marketing, like different function strategies, corporate strategy की वजह से business strategy की वजह से function strategy. It's a complex process, right? It involves changes in corporate strategy like scope, resource deployment, competitive advantage, synergy. You change the resource mix, right? You put more money in marketing, less money in production, or you change the production strategy. You make a new factory, you decide to go into a new factory, you decide to do outsourcing instead of making things yourself. It can be anything, right? It can be anything, and that's a complex process, right? So three steps. What we are talking about here is we're talking about strategic change, right? The steps to initiate change. What does this mean, right? Strategic change means when you want to change your strategy, right? You want to change your strategy itself. When you want to change your strategy itself, how do you identify, or how do you create an environment? How do you understand that, boss, I need to initiate a strategic change, right? How do you understand that a strategic change is needed, and how do you do that? Okay, so there are three very basic steps in strategic change. पहला है recognize the need for change. First of all, you need to understand मुझे change चाहिए क्यों. First and foremost, you need to understand कि भाई मुझे change चाहिए ही क्यों. There would be some problem, right? There would be some problem. Goals नहीं meet हो रहे हैं, objectives नहीं meet हो रहे हैं. The business is making losses, or the strategy is not working, or it is not giving the results that you desire as a company from that strategy. So you recognize the need for change. That, boss, something is happening that is not working, or something in the environment is happening. Law change हो रहा है, कोई नई opportunity आ रही है, right? Let's say a lot of new businesses, a lot of new companies which are focusing on banking, ekdam se cryptocurrency, ekdam se NFTs came into market, right? So all these startups are now focusing on cryptocurrency, right? All these startups are now focusing on cryptocurrency or blockchain, or let's say NFTs, right? So recognize the need for change, that your strategy might need an overall change because something is happening in the environment, or some opportunities coming, or some threat is coming. Okay, so you can do that through SWOT analysis. Simple है, हमको पता ही है. Whenever I have to analyze the external environment, I do SWOT analysis. Simple. Second is, once you recognize the need, मुझे समझ आ गया why do I need a change. The second step I will do is I will create a shared vision to manage change. Shared vision क्या होता है, right? It's a very simple thing. Shared vision means that your vision should match with your employees or organization, right? Your employees of the organization, people working for and with your organization, should also feel the same. You have to include them in decision making. You have to tell them, you have to influence them, you have to persuade them that, boss, nice strategy will be more successful for the company, right? When you're changing a strategy, when there is a strategic change, you have to persuade and influence the people who work with you and for you, to explain to them, to influence them that, boss, naya strategy, the new strategic change, the strategic change is going to be more beneficial. So you create a shared vision that everyone in and around the business share the same vision of change, that it will bring goodness. Okay. And number three is institutionalize the change. So what is institutional? Like, so what do you do is institution kya hota hai? Institution is to make it official, right? To make it official is 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 what this means. You make it official through actual changes. Official kar do by taking actions, right? You actually change the strategy. Finally, आप क्या करेंगे? You actually take or change the strategy. You recognize the change. ज़रूरत क्या है? Then you create a shared vision that people in and around the organization feel the same about the strategic change, that it is going to bring some goodness to the company, right? And finally, you do it officially. You create an official documentation. You tell them, everyone, there is advertisement. You actually act on changing the strategy, right? So three common basic steps about how to initiate a strategic change, right? Now, what happens when you're changing a particular thing, right? What is happening when you're changing a particular thing or a strategy? Number one is unfreeze. Number two, changing and refreeze, right? Which is very common. Abhi kuch na kuch will be existing, right? The current strategy which you are changing, let's say you have a strategy of, let's say, growth strategy, right? I'm taking a very broad example. Your company is following a growth strategy, but now it wants to go into a stability strategy. Your company is following a growth strategy, now it wants to go into a stability strategy. So pehle unfreeze kare. Unfreeze means the growth strategy will be unfreezed because that is already there in the organization. It is fixed in the organization. People's mindset. The people's mindset is कि हमको grow करना है. The team's objectives and targets, everything is to grow. It's a growth related strategy, right? So you unfreeze that. That means You introduce new ideas, you promote new ideas, you promote a new ideology of stability into the company, right? Throughout the organization, you introduce a new idea कि boss, company अब अच्छा चल रही है, it's at a stable point in time, the industry will not grow so much. So we do not have to worry a lot about growth because the industry itself is now stable, right? So our industry was growing, now it is stable. So let us also go into a stability mode wherein we try to capture major market share in terms of we retain our market share while growing, right? So you promote this new idea into the organization that is called unfreezing. The second is you start changing things. आपने idea introduce कर दिया, now you start acting on those changes, right? The second is you start acting on those changes. कि धीरे धीरे teams के objectives and targets you keep changing. You start changing the organizational structure. You start building big SPUs instead of small growth units. You start making big strategic business units, right? अपने business को बहुत बड़ी company की तरह stable बनाना शुरू कर देते हैं. You start making your business model, your business structure, your business definition, everything relates to the stability strategy now because you're changing it. So you start changing everything within the organization. And with change, when you do change, there are three kinds of ways you can implement a change. Right? We'll study this in the next slide. But there are three ways to actually bring change in the organization, right? Because it is not easy. अभी आप कुछ चेंज करने जाओगे, the organization people will say, बॉस हमें तो चेंज चाहिए ही नहीं, हमें सैलरी मिल रही है, अब हम हमसे डबल मेहनत करवा रहे हो, पहले हम कुछ कर रहे थे, now we're doing something else. It is very taxing for us. We do not want to change this and that, right? So it will bring a lot of problems for your company. There are three ways by which you can ensure a good changing environment in the company. We will study that. That is compliance, identification, and internalization, right? Because of these three methodologies, because of three ideologies, you can bring in the change in the organization within a very smooth manner. बहुत ही आराम से, बहुत ही आसानी से आप चेंज ला सकते हैं कंपनी में by using these three techniques. We will see in the next slide. And finally, when you change, आप unfreeze करते हैं, नया idea introduce करते हैं, then you start changing everything. You keep changing. And once you think that everything is changed, now we are into stability mode, you freeze that particular strategy. You ensure that everyone is aligned. You change everything slowly and steadily, and then you refreeze. ठीक है, for the next 3 years, we are not going to change the strategy. Now, this is what we want to do for the next 3 years. We are refreezing the strategy, right? You unfreeze, you change, and then you refreeze your strategy, right? Super simple. बर्फ जमाने का काम है. पानी अनफ्रीज करोगे, उसके अंदर रूह अफ़ज़ा डालोगे, उसको फिर से फ्रीज कर दोगे, right? So let's say your earlier strategy was ice cube बनाना, and you change your strategy. नहीं यार, रूह अफ़ज़ा की ice cube बनाते हैं, right? So what you will do? You will unfreeze that. You will put रूह अफ़ज़ा in that. You will change it and you will refreeze it so that वो रूह अफ़ज़ा की ice cube बन जाए, right? Similarly, for a business, you unfreeze the existing policies, existing strategy, you change it, and then you refreeze it so that everything is back on track again, right? Okay, we'll be studying about these three things now. कि भाई change लाना है organization में. I want to bring about a change in the organization, but it is really difficult. People don't want to change. People don't want changes in their life. So how do I bring about that? Okay, so three methods by H.C. Kellman. Mr. H.C. Kellman was basically telling us that there are three methods. There are three methods of reassigning new patterns of behavior proposed by H.C. Kellman, right? This particular person is saying that boss, आपको change लाना है organization में, use these three techniques, right? Use these three techniques to bring about change in the organization. Number one क्या है? Compliance. Number two, identification. Number three, internalization. Simple है. Compliance का मतलब क्या हुआ? You give rewards and punishment to the people. People who are saying ki, yes, we will change, who are changing very quickly, who are accepting the change, reward them. Who are accepting the change, जो change accept कर रहे हैं, who are wanting to change, who are showing improvements, उनको rewards दो. And people who are not showing change, showing resistance to change, हमें change नहीं करना है, ये क्या कर रहे हो, वो क्या कर रहे हो, हम काम नहीं करेंगे, right? They start revolting, punish them, right? Punish them, and that can actually bring about a change in the organization. right? That people will say, यार हम मेहनत नहीं करें तो हमको तो reward नहीं मिलता. People who are actually working towards change, they are getting good bonuses, getting good promotions, they're getting good roles, they're getting good recognition. उनको awards मिल रहे हैं, उनको certificates मिल रहे हैं. People are appreciating them. And we are not working, so we are not being appreciated. हमको bonuses नहीं मिल रहे हैं. I'm getting late promotions. Right? That is also kind of a punishment. So one way is compliance. Through compliance, you can bring about change in the organization. Right? Absolutely, Pooja. Like ice cream also. Unfreeze, change, and freeze. Right? The second technique to bring about change in an organization is identification. Right? Identification क्या है? For example, I'll give you the classic example of identification is Ratan Tata. Okay. So what you do in your organization, you create role models, right? You create role models in your organization and you market them. So what does Tata do? Tata क्या करता है? Tata simple है. Everyone working in Tata wants to and believes in Ratan Tata, right? Basically, Ratan Tata is such a good person. He's such a wonderful human being. We also have to work. He's still working at the age of 80 plus, right? That kind of a role model brings about a change. So if Ratan Tata tomorrow says that company strategy change karni hai and he starts speaking about it, people consider him as a role model. People will say, "अरे रतन टाटा बोल रहे हैं, strategy change हो रही है, सही ही होगी." We also should work towards supporting his vision. We also need to support his vision and mission towards the Tata companies, right? So through identification, identifying a role model. When people identify a role model, they want to become like that, and that brings about a change. When I give people a role model, so if let's say in an organization I create a role model, so what I do, every senior manager is I start marketing them, I start rewarding them, I bringing them to meetings, I tell them to do meetings with their subordinates to start becoming like a role model. कि अरे मुझे भी senior manager बनना है. I can also be a senior manager. I can also be a vice president in the next 5 years. I have to work like them. I have to be like them. And that brings about a change in the organization. That is called identification. Number three, internalization. Internalization is very simple. That means changing the individual's thought process, right? You do not give rewards or punishment. You do not create role models, but you influence to change their mindset, right? So let's say I am the general manager of my business unit, and I want all the people to work towards environment friendly practices. Okay, मेरा business, I am the general manager of a particular SBU of a business unit, and I want to bring about a change in strategy where everyone is focused on environmental practices, right? सब कोई अच्छे environment की तरफ, whatever they do, they add to goodness of the environment. So what will I do? I will start teaching them about environment. I will do meetings. I will take them to the nearby nurseries or jungle areas to introduce them to the nature. Right? Then I'll introduce them to the problems that it is bringing. उनको बीच पे लेके जाओगे, दिखाओगे भाई कितना कचरा है यहाँ पे, right? So that they start changing, so that their mindset starts changing, and they internally change themselves towards the overall strategy of the company. The strategy of the business unit or the strategy of the company now is environment friendly. So I show them, I create such an environment that people start thinking like that. I create a mindset of people, right? And that is called internalization. When you change the individual's thought process, right? For example, a lot of internalization is happening in organizations. If you say women empowerment or women opportunities, a lot of these things are there in the organization, right? That women are equal, they get equal pays, they get equal promotions, equal roles. Everything is to be done equal. That is internalization. अभी ऐसा नहीं है that you get rewards and punishment. ऐसा नहीं है you have a role model. Role models are also there, right? ICICI Bank में you have like women leading big banks in India. SBI chairman was a woman. अब ICICI Bank हो गया. A lot of pharmaceutical companies, right? Even in Shark Tank, they have women entrepreneurs coming up. This is a role model, right? People identify and then start changing, right? Similarly, internalization में क्या होता है? What they do is they start changing the mindset. Right? They start changing mindset within the organization. That brings about a change, right? So these are the three ways with which you can bring about a change easily. Relatively आसान हो जाता है change लाना with these three techniques: compliance, identification, and internalization. Right? Okay. Before I go to strategic control, any questions on strategic change? बहुत ही simple topic I think, right? Any questions? 30 seconds. कोई question, कोई doubt, anything that is not clear? If it's clear, just give me a yes, all clear. Let's go on to the next topic. Quickly, guys. I don't want to waste much time today. Okay, no questions, Ria. Wonderful. What about others? What about others? Any doubts and questions? Do not hesitate. Ask any of those questions so that go back from this session with something new, with some more clarity about the topics, right? Is actually happening. मैं stability strategy use कर रहा था, whether I'm on the right track, whether I'm still stable or I'm losing money now, right? I wanted to be into a growth strategy of, let's say, 10% growth every year. Am I still achieving that? Is my strategy actually giving the right results, right? That is what is meant by strategic control, that you understand कि जो चाहते थे वो हो भी रहा है या नहीं. Whether this strategy, the dream of the strategy was XYZ, whether we are achieving that dream or not, right? That is what strategic control means. Okay, so we have Khushi says, will compliance lead to protest in the organization? No, Khushi, because you also have rewards. सिर्फ punishment दोगे तो revolt हो सकता है, but you're also giving rewards, right? So people who are wanting to change are getting rewards, they will stay back in the organization, तो revolt नहीं होगा. People who are not working, they will anyway get punishment. उनको अंदर से तो पता ही होगा हम काम नहीं कर रहे, right? People who are doing काम चोरी, they know themselves कि यार हम काम नहीं कर रहे तो हमको punishment मिलेगी. So they will change themselves to at least do something. If not the best, at least they meet their targets. If not achieve or overpower or overshoot their targets, at least achieve तो करें. Right? So revolt होने के chances are कम in compliance also, right? अब गाड़ी चलाते हैं, आपको चालान लग जाता है. It doesn't mean to start revolting. सड़क पे दरवाजा खोल के पुलिस वाले से लड़ते तो नहीं है, right? That is what that means. Subhi, what does institutionalize is to basically make it official. आप documentation करेंगे, एक organization structure change कर रहे हैं, so you make it official throughout the organization. You create an environment that, boss, this is what we are going to do next. You make it formal across the organization. Your CEO sends out mails to people that, boss, this is the new strategy. This is how it will work. These are the new leaders. These are the new company heads. This is what our new strategy and targets are. So you institutionalize. That means you make it formal throughout the organization that, boss, this is the new thing, right? Okay, strategic control to ensure what is planned is actually translated into results, right? Simple. Look at this. Look at this. Strategic control का मतलब क्या है? Strategic control का simple मतलब है to monitor the activity and measuring results against pre-established standards, analyzing and correcting deviations. दो चीजें करता है. Strategic control is doing two things, right? It is measuring your current results. It is measuring your current results against pre-established standards. That means pre-established standard क्या होता है? Let us say you are doing a mock test. आप mock test दे रहे हो and you say that audit में यार मुझे 60 marks तो लाने ही हैं, right? This is your pre-established standard that audit में मुझे 60 marks लाने ही हैं, and just you build a strategy around it. You do practice papers, you do this, you study from this book, you study from that book, you watch videos online, you understand this concept, आप notes बनाते हो. That is your strategy, and then you give a mock test and you score, let's say, 55 marks. Okay, so this is called strategic control. You measure your results against a pre-established standard, right? So you're controlling your strategy कि यार जहां से मैंने पढ़ाई करी वहां से was I able to get 60 marks? If not, what was the problem? You analyze and correcting deviations, right? You're correcting deviations. That means yes, 60 लाने थे, I only got 55. Where did this 5 marks I lose? Was it basis my strategy, or was it exam ke time I did not focus more, or I need to focus more during the exam, 3 hours of the exam? What went wrong, right? Kya galat hua and how can I improve that? That is also strategic control, right? You measure your results with pre-established standards and you find out the problem kya thi, what was the deviation, and you go on and correct that, right? That is strategic control. Simple, दो चीजें कर रहे हैं, measure कर रहे हैं कि हम कैसा, how are you performing measurement. Second is analyzing the deviations and finding corrective actions, right? Strategic control. Okay, the process has following elements. Now very simple, बहुत ही simple है. अब strategic control करते कैसे? Like, what are the different elements? What are the things which are important for strategic control process? Right? If I have to understand this strategy control तो कर लेंगे, but what are the different things I need to consider? What are the different things I need to actually do strategic control? Right? The first and foremost is आपको objectives चाहिए थे, right? You want objectives which are measurable and controllable, right? You want objectives which are measurable and controllable. आपकी कंपनी में अगर objectives ही नहीं है, तो how will you control, how will you measure anything, right? You should have measurable objectives. In the next 5 years, or I want to produce, I want to increase my sales by 7%. Every 3 months, I want to increase my sales by, let's say, 2%. Right? I want to improve my profit by 1% every year. Objectives, right? These are measurable and controllable standards. You can measure whether you are achieving this or not, right? So objectives which are measurable. Number two is mechanism for monitoring and measuring performance of the system, right? एक mechanism होना चाहिए कि either you do it through a P&L, you do it through PPTs, you do it through presentations, quarterly reviews. आपका CFO आपसे numbers मांगता है, you create Excel sheets, you create PPTs, you have data to analyze. एक mechanism होना चाहिए monitor करने, हवा में बातें नहीं होनी चाहिए. आपने measurable objective तो बना दिया, but your company should have a system to monitor and measure that performance as well. ऐसा ना हो कि हाँ 1% प्रॉफिट कर लेंगे, गुड ऑब्जेक्टिव, वेरी गुड ऑब्जेक्टिव, मेजर करने का कोई तरीका ही नहीं है. ना प्रॉफिट लॉस अकाउंट बनता है कंपनी में, ना बैलेंस शीट बनती है कंपनी में एवरी क्वार्टर. वो कह साल के एंड में बैलेंस शीट बनाएंगे ना बॉस, हमें एवरी 3 months आई हैव टू मेजर दैट. एवरी 3 months आई हैव टू मेजर माई परफॉर्मेंस. आई नीड टू क्रिएट एवरी 3 months एक बैलेंस शीट और PL so that I can analyze where my performance is going. How are my different cost components happening? What is the kind of quality control I want to do? It can be anything. It can be anything. You want to do a quality control of your production, you should have objectives. Out of every 10,000 pieces that I produce, only maximum 2 pieces can be defective. बाकी सब अच्छे होने चाहिए. So there has to be a mechanism to check that. There should be a quality control team to check that. Samples लेगी. They will do a computerized or algorithm लगाई, computer system लगाई, technology use करोगे. So that is the mechanism for monitoring and measuring. Number 3 is you should have a mechanism for comparing, detecting deviations, and learning new insights. Monitor और measure तो आपने कर लिया. It is two things. Strategy control दो चीजें करता है, right? Monitor करता है, measure करता है, and deviations भी check करता है, right? Monitoring the current performance and then finding out deviations. Deviations means difference from the standard. गलत क्या हुआ, right? Measure तो कर लिया हमने, ठीक है, 60 marks चाहिए थे, 55 आए. I understood that. I measured it. But what is the deviation? These 5 marks, ये 5 marks कहाँ गए, क्यों गए? That is also what strategic control does. So you also need a mechanism for comparing, detecting deviations, that what went wrong and why it went wrong, and learning new insights. अच्छा गलत हुआ तो इसलिए हुआ. This is why I could not achieve. This is why I could not do this. This is why we could not achieve that in the business. Right? You need to learn new insights. Right? Okay, so this is what the reason is. You go and say, let's say आपके 55 marks आए in audit and you scored, your aim was 60, right? And you keep finding गलत क्या हुआ, गलत क्या हुआ, गलत क्या हुआ यार सब, and then you find out you have the highest marks, right? You go and after like 1 week of analysis, सबसे बात कर ली and you analyze, यार 55 marks है मेरे and I'm the topper. That is the maximum marks. Like all India, we got 55 marks. I'm just giving an example. Okay, so I am the topper in audit. So probably my standard was not right. 60 marks what standard was not right because maximum 55 mil rahe, right? So basically my strategy is absolutely right. Maybe मेरा standard ही गलत है. Maybe मुझे standard ही 55 कर लेना चाहिए. So even if I get more than 55, it is a wonderful thing for me. But I know कि इतनी मेहनत पे all India in such kind of a paper, in a question paper which is this tough, if the topper is getting 55 marks, that means my strategy is absolutely right. So that is also learning new insights about the standard, about yourself, about the company, right? So that is also strategic control. It just doesn't mean कि कुछ गलत ही है. It can also mean जो standard is also गलत. The basis what you're comparing yourself with हो सकता है वही maximum हो सकता है वही गलत हो, right? That is also what strategic control aims to check and analyze. That is what we are saying. Compare कर रहे हो, detect deviations कर रहे हो, you also get new insights on the standard, right? We also get new insights on the standard कि जिससे हम compare करते हैं, is it the right thing or not? Okay. Number 4, mechanism for feeding back. Feedback बहुत जरूरी है. Every time we go to a customer service, every time we go to and you call Airtel, you call Jio, you call Flipkart, you call Amazon, कहीं भी XYZ company को call करते हैं और वो they give you a service and then they say sir feedback call आएगी, एक 1 दबा दीजिएगा if you're happy, 2 दबा दीजिएगा if you have a problem, right? Feedback is very important because you think you're doing the right thing, but you need to understand from the other person's perspective whether it was right or not, whether it is beneficial to them or not, whether did it add value to them or not, right? So feedback is very important for corrective and adaptive information, right? There has to be a positive feedback always. Positive in terms of you should adapt and learn from the feedback. गुस्सा नहीं होना, right? You do not have to say अरे कैसे बोल रही है कि तू ₹1 का कस्टमर में 1,000 करोड़ की कंपनी. You do not have to do that. What you have to do is you have to learn and adapt to information, right? If a lot of people are saying the same thing, probably your strategy is wrong. With others to find deviations and to learn new insights about the standard जिससे आप compare कर रहे हैं. Number 4, mechanism for feedback. Feedback लेना बहुत बहुत जरूरी है for corrective and adaptive information of your company, right? Okay. Now there are 3 types of controls. Okay, very simple. ये तो बहुत ही simple है. इसमें तो I don't know what should be studied, right? Is it so? The video is paused. How is that possible? Is the video still on? I think the video is still there. What about others? Are you guys able to see the video, the voice? Ah, perfect. Okay, the video is okay. Awesome. Okay, so we have a question in the previous one. So what is the difference between point 2 and point 1? A lot of difference, right? Measuring and monitoring your own performance, right, Ananya? Second point says you measure and analyze, you monitor your own performance. आपने कैसा किया वो भी check करना जरूरी है. Number 3 says then you compare it with the standard, you compare it with what you wanted to do, right? Second step is you analyze कि आपने कैसा किया. Number 3 का first is you compare it with what you wanted to achieve, right? You got 55 marks is what you're monitoring. Okay, so this went right, this went right, this is good, this is good, this is good. Then you find out ideally मुझे कितने आने चाहिए थे. अच्छा आने 60 चाहिए थे. This is 3.1. But second point is मेरे आए कितने, right? How much did I score is my point number 2. It should be measurable. अभी exams में तो easy है, result आ जाता है. But in a business, you have to identify, you have to create a profit and loss account, you have to create a balance sheet, you have to create a working capital, right? That is why in audit, in accountancy, you're learning all of these things. There is a mechanism to control. आप पहले देखोगे आपने किया कैसे. Then only you can compare, right? First, you need to identify, put in a format कि आपकी performance कैसी है, and then you compare it with the standard, right? Okay. 3 types of organizational controls: operational control, management control, strategic control. Very simple. Operational control क्या करते हैं? Focuses on individual task. Management control क्या करते हैं? Inclusive and aggressive activities, both short term, long term, right? It is more focused on goals, right? It is focused on tasks. It is management control is overall, right? ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल इज छोटे छोटे टास्क पे. कंपनी में हर प्रोसेस में छोटे 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 टास्क होते हैं, राइट? So the way you control those chote tasks in the company, it is called operational control. When you look at the bigger goals of the company from a long-term perspective, from a short-term perspective, how do you control those big goals, long-term, short-term goals को आप कैसे control करते हो? That is management control. And third one is called strategic control. Strategic control just answers 2 questions. The first one is implementation is being done as planned, and are the intended results being met? जो हमको चाहिए था from the strategy, because it is strategic control. जो हमको चाहिए था from strategy, is it being met or not? Are we achieving the targets what we dreamt of with the particular strategy, whether we are achieving it or not? And the second one is implementation as planned. Implementation जैसे हमें चाहिए थी, क्या हम वैसे ही कर रहे हैं या नहीं? Whether my organization structure, my implementation of strategies throughout the organization, what I wanted to do, am I doing it in this right way? And am I achieving what I dreamt of, what my targets was, what my mission and vision was? I am on the right track or not? ये मेरा मिशन था, ये मेरा विजन था. What I created when I was doing the strategic intent के अंदर हम लोग विजन और मिशन बना रहे थे, राइट? बिजनेस मॉडल की बात कर रहे थे, क्या वो अचीव हो रहा है? एम आई ऑन द राइट ट्रैक टू अचीव माई विजन एंड मिशन? दैट इज स्ट्रेटेजिक कंट्रोल, राइट? ऑपरेशन कंट्रोल इज छोटे छोटे टास्क कंपनी में, ये हो गया, अच्छा प्रोडक्शन हो रही है तो जबलपुर के प्लांट में प्रोडक्शन की क्वालिटी कैसी है, ऑपरेशनल कंट्रोल. मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल इज ओवरऑल कंपनी की, लेट्स से ओवरऑल कंपनी, all my factories, what is the kind of production capacity that is happening? My plan was in 1 year I can make 10,000 units through all the 4 factories across the country. Am I able to produce 10,000 units? मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल. बड़े बड़े गोल्स, लॉन्ग टर्म शॉर्ट टर्म को चेक करना इज मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल. ऑपरेशन छोटे छोटे टास्क को. स्ट्रेटेजिक कंट्रोल पूरी स्ट्रेटेजी को देखते हैं, कंपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन सब छोड़ दीजिए. इट इज लुकिंग एट द ओवरऑल स्ट्रेटेजी कि अच्छा हमको ग्रोथ चाहिए थी, ग्रोथ स्ट्रेटेजी थी, प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट थी, प्रोडक्ट डिफरेंशिएशन थी, राइट? लो कॉस्ट प्रोड्यूसर बनना था हमको, तो इनोवेटिव इमिटेटर बनना था. आई वांटेड टू बी द लीडर इन R&D. These are my strategies. Am I achieving that? Are my results being achieved? Am I achieving what I wanted to achieve? Strategic control. वो उस चीज को चेक करता है. That is what strategic control checks, right? Simple है. Operational, management and strategic control, right? Okay. Now there are 4 types of strategic control. अब वो कह रहे हैं कि strategic control आप कर कैसे सकते? Types समझ आ गए. Like we understood what are the different types of organizational control. Now what are the types of strategic control, right? Organizational control के अंदर था strategic control. Think about this very carefully. Organizational control 3 टाइप के, जिसके अंदर एक टाइप था strategic control, right? अब ये हम अगली साइड पे जा रहे हैं to understand what are the 4 types of strategic control, right? Now we are going into understanding what are the types of strategic controls. It's strategic controls की बात करते हैं. So there are 4 types of strategic controls: premise control, strategic surveillance, special alert control, and finally you have implementation control, right? Premise control, strategic surveillance, special alert control, and implementation control. नाम थोड़े से नाम सुन के यू विल बी है कि यार इतना सारा याद करना पड़ेगा. इट्स सुपर सिंपल, सुपर सिंपल. प्रेमाइज कंट्रोल क्या होता है, राइट? To design to check systematically and continuously whether the premises on which the strategy is based is still valid. If no longer valid, the strategy may have to be changed. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ, right? Assumptions. अभी when you're creating strategy, right? Assumptions लिख लीजिए. If you want to note down somewhere, just write it down somewhere that premise control basically means assumptions जो आपने बनाई. When you're implementing or when you're developing a strategy, जब आप एक strategy बनाते हैं, you have certain assumptions. ये हो जाएगा तो ये होगा, इसलिए मैं ग्रोथ करना चाह रहा हूँ because the industry is growing. I want to go do a product differentiation because competitors कुछ नया ला रहे हैं, so I have to beat them. I have to be low cost producer because I have a lot of capital invested. Capital मेरे पास फालतू पड़ी है, let me go and invest that in economies of scale. कुछ ना कुछ assumption के basis पे you create a strategy, right? At the back of your head you have certain assumptions कि अच्छा 5 साल बाद I think the electric vehicles will be the future. Let's say someone was sitting in 2017. Someone is sitting in 2017 and thinking यार आज से 3 से 4 साल बाद electric vehicles are going to be the next big thing in India. So let me start investing or building strategy around electric vehicles. Right? Let me start a company with the strategic vision of becoming one of the biggest manufacturers in electric vehicles. Right? अभी they have to continuously keep checking कि जो assumption हमने लगाई थी strategy के लिए, the basis of assumption, the assumption that we decided on which we will do our strategy or create a strategy, whether it is still relevant, whether it is still making sense or not. So 2017 में they developed a strategy on the assumption कि 2020 तक everything will be electric vehicles, right? So every 6 months they went back and look at the assumption. अच्छा assumption थी कि 2020 तक हो जाएगा, and then they go and look in the market. हाँ थोड़ा थोड़ा गवर्नमेंट चेंज हो रही है, न्यू कंपनीज इंट्रोड्यूसिंग, दो चार कंपनीज और भी ये कर रही हैं. Then in 2019 they saw that COVID आ गया. But a lot of companies, Tata was investing in electric vehicles, Ola was investing in electric vehicles. They got confidence कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, हमारी assumption ठीक है एकदम. By 2020, 2021, they saw यहाँ तो boom ही आ गया भाई. Everyone is going into electric vehicles. So they thought, boss हमारी assumption तो एकदम ठीक थी. This is premise control. You keep checking your assumption in strategy time and again to understand कि हाँ ठीक है, हम जो कर रहे हैं, our strategy is based on the right assumption, is based on the right logic, right? अगर मान लीजिए the system was different, so instead of electric vehicles 2019 में some new like Elon Musk कहते हैं solar power पे गाड़ी चलाते हैं. Instead of electric vehicles, if they innovated solar power, कि धूप जहाँ पे होगी धूप से गाड़ी चलेगी, the electric vehicle strategy would might have become flop, right? So then you would have to change your strategy. अगर आपको लगता है यार मेरी assumption is not matching with the current scenario that what is happening, let me quickly change my strategy. So that is premise control. You change your strategy. It is a strategic control. How do you keep an eye? How do you control your strategy is what we are talking about. यहाँ पे target, profit and loss की बात नहीं हो रही. यहाँ पे targets की, profit loss की, balance sheet की बात नहीं हो रही है. वो management और operational control में हो गया. That is done at management and operational. At strategic control, you are only concerned with the strategy, right? आपकी business धंधा कैसे चलाना है? That is your strategy. Right? So strategy की बात करते हुए, the first control is premise control, which tells the basis of assumptions, the assumptions which you used to create your strategy, whether they are intact, whether they are still making sense or not, right? Continuously sense बनती रहनी चाहिए उस assumption. जिस दिन आपको लगेगा यार ये तो illogical हो गया, सब कुछ change हो गया, हमारी assumption fail हो रही है, right? So you will change your strategy, right? That is called premise control. Classic example, you think that you will ask your parents to go out to party रात को, and your assumption is यार मम्मी तो मान जाएंगी but पापा नहीं मानेंगे, right? If you think about this, यार मम्मी मान जाएंगी पापा नहीं मानेंगे, this is your assumption for your strategy. Now you go and ask your mother and she also says no, वो कहती नहीं नहीं जाना, your entire assumption becomes flop. अभी you will have to change the strategy, right? That is what premise control is. That is what premise control is. Second, strategic surveillance. Strategic surveillance means unfocused, loose form of strategic control, right? What does this mean? Acha, very simple. I'll give you a classic example. अभी strategic surveillance का एक बहुत simple example क्या है? It is unfocused. Read the words. Premise control का keyword मैं आपको बताता हूँ, right? The keyword you have to understand is continuous and systematic, right? When I say it is a continuous and systematic way of controlling your strategy, it is premise control, right? Systematic है, continuous है. Strategic surveillance is unfocused, right? It is unfocused. Understand or underline somewhere if you want to, right? Premise control is systematic and continuous. Strategic surveillance is unfocused, right? Unfocused मतलब strategic surveillance क्या है कि अच्छा चलो इंटरनेट पे हर हफ्ते गए, every Sunday I sit down and check news about the industry on the internet कि भाई गूगल पे गए, इंडस्ट्री के बारे में पढ़ लिए क्या रिपोर्ट आ रही है, what is this particular bank saying about this industry, what is this company saying about the industry, कि ICICI बैंक says in the next 2 years steel industry बहुत boom करेगी, housing industry will flop. You go and read internet randomly, unfocused है. बस ऐसी generally you gathering information, you're reading news, you're reading magazines, you're going on the internet, you're talking to people, right? Randomly आप कहीं पे गए हैं, you're sitting with your friends and you start talking about कि अरे how does the future of this industry or my business looks, and they say कि नहीं यार business ऐसा लगता है, मेरे को तो लगता है future में this will be problematic, no one wants to do this, no one wants to buy your product in the future is what I think. So it's a strategic surveillance. जनरली कभी भी अनफोकस्ड है, ऐसा नहीं आप डेली कर रहे हो, ऐसा नहीं है यू डू इट ऑन अ पर्पस, राइट? इट्स एन अनफोकस्ड. जनरली कहीं भी आते जाते पढ़ते लिखते you keep understanding कि ठीक है whether my strategy is making sense or not, right? So that is called strategic surveillance. It is unfocused. कभी magazine पढ़ ली, you're reading the internet, you got a mail something, you're reading a newsletter, you're reading a blog, you're watching a video on YouTube which is telling you this is how things are changing, this is how quickly things are changing. You think कि यार हाँ हो सकता है मुझे भी strategy change करनी चाहिए या नहीं, my strategy is also aligned to the idea, right? So this is going to happen in 2 years. I am prepared with my strategy. So it's a loose form of strategic control. The third one is strategic alert, which is immediate and intense review, right? Special alert control, एकदम से कहीं कंपनी में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, you go and find out कि अरे भाई क्या हो रहा है, क्या गलत हो रहा है, right? That is called special alert control. Special alert control is simple. जैसे यू फाइंड आउट एन इरेगुलरिटी, कहीं भी कुछ भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, यू गेट अ फोन कॉल दैट सर आपका ये फैक्ट्री में ये प्रॉब्लम हो गई, सर दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम, बहुत ज्यादा लॉसेस हो रहे हैं, 3 महीने का, आई वाज लुकिंग एट द डेटा, द कंपनी इज इन ह्यूज लॉसेस, वी डू नॉट हैव कैश नाउ, राइट? वी ओनली हैव कैश फॉर 2 days नाउ इन द बिजनेस, वी नीड मोर कैश. इमीडिएट एंड इंटेंस रिव्यू की यार कहाँ स्ट्रैटेजी गलत है, राइट? हाउ डू आई कंट्रोल दैट, हाउ डू आई अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट वेंट रॉन्ग एंड व्हाट इज टू बी करेक्टेड. That is special alert control. That is special. It is immediate and intense, right? And then you have implementation control, right? Then it is implementation control, which is monitoring strategic thrust and milestone reviews. Okay. So implementation control दो तरीके का होता है. Let us say strategic में क्या, what is your strategy? You are going from Tally to SAP. Okay. Your company was using Tally. Now they're going to SAP. So what will happen? You have to implement this into the company. Okay. You have to implement this into your company. Your company is going from Tally to SAP. अभी implement कर रहे हो आप ये system अपनी company में. So you will have two kinds of controls to do from a strategy perspective. Monitor strategic thrust. That means क्या problem आ रही है? What are the issues that people are facing? People are saying यार हमें SAP का UI समझ नहीं आ रहा. How do I use SAP? I don't know. So what you do demo classes. You start bringing training consultants into company or training your people how to use SAP, right? Then you do not understand यार SAP में तो ऐसे होता है, Tally में तो इतना easy था, SAP में कैसे होगा? SAP तो इतना बड़ा है. I don't understand how SAP works, right? Then you bring about that change, right? You find out कि problem क्या है, why are not people understanding this? Because you understand कि यार हमारी कंपनी को इतना बड़ा SAP चाहिए ही नहीं, right? We just need small part of SAP and we have purchased a very big package of SAP. हमको तो सिर्फ छोटी सी चीज चाहिए थी, right? So you monitor your strategic problems and then you solve those, right? That is one. Number two is milestone reviews. When you're implementing something, you should have a milestone review. So you say Tally to SAP, within 6 months, my entire system should move from Tally to SAP. So every 15 days, you do a milestone review. Periodic होता है to check कि कितनी तेजी से I'm able to implement, whether I'll achieve my target of implementing my strategy within 6 months or not. You do milestone reviews. You do milestone reviews for implementation. When you're implementing a strategy, you do implementation controls, which is of two types. First is identifying the problem ka implementation, and second is milestone reviews, right? Classic example, let us say your strategy is weight loss, right? आपको लगता है when you say कि यार मेरी strategy weight lose करना है, and you start implementing that strategy, what you do, you buy new clothes, you buy sports wear, आप नए जूते खरीदते हो, आप जिम की membership ले लेते हो, right? Then you monitor the problems. What are the problems that are coming? You say, boss, मेरी बाजू में बहुत दर्द होता है, right? I'm not able to do weights, but I'm more good at leg exercises, right? So these are the monitoring strategic thrusts. So you're facing problems, so you change your strategy thoda sa, right? You understand the problem and you work around the problem. So left hand se na karke ab right hand se you start exercising more, or you do different exercises for your upper body, or legs ki exercise you do it more intensively, right? So monitoring strategic problem kya aa rahi hai, starting with finding a solution. Second is milestone review. अभी आपने जिम तो ज्वाइन कर लिया फॉर वेट लॉस, एंड यू से कि in the next 1 year I have to lose 5 kgs. So every month you go and weight, आप अपना waist का check करते हैं size, you go and check your weight every month, right? Whether I'm achieving that 5 kg loss का target or not, right? That is milestone review. Similarly, business भी वही करते हैं implementation. Business को भी वही करना है. Monitoring your problems and identifying solutions for it, and doing milestone reviews periodically. Whether I'm on the right track, whether I'll achieve it within the timeline I want or not, right? There's a very, very big difference between strategic audit and milestone reviews. Once I come to strategic audit, we'll study that. Okay. Huge, huge difference. Entirely different concept. Entirely different concept. This is implementation control ki strategy, and that is strategic audit altogether. Right? We'll come to that, Shraddha. I'll explain it to you. Cool. Any doubts so far? Any doubts? Any questions? Let us spend 30, 40 seconds. Right? Yes, Charu, why not? Premise control is systematic and continuous. Whether your assumptions on basis on which you are creating a strategy, whether they are still relevant, whether they are still logical or not, you check that. Strategic surveillance is unfocused. Internet पढ़ लिया, magazine पढ़ ली, right? कभी भी जाते जाते, it's not a very focused strategy. The strategic control, it is more like you keep reading, you keep understanding things, you keep talking to people. कहीं से कुछ information, कहीं से कुछ information. That is strategic surveillance. Special alert control when something immediately happens, right? कुछ एकदम से गड़बड़ हो गई, आग लग गई फैक्ट्री में, losses हो रहे हैं, पैसे नहीं है बैंक में. So immediate and intense review of eventualities, that what went wrong in the strategy. That is special alert control. And number 4 is implementation control. When you're implementing the strategy into the company, two things. You monitor what are the problems and you solve them. The second is milestone reviews, that periodically you check whether we are on track or not, whether I'll achieve my targets within the given time frame or not. Right? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Ruby. If there are no doubts, wonderful. I think I'm able to explain the topics well there. Premise control and milestone review entirely different. Ananya, why are you getting confused? आपका premise तो assumption पे है, milestone review तो periodic है, right? Milestone review क्या होता है? Every 3 months your father tells you बताओ कितना खर्चा हुआ, right? Every 3 months your father or your mother calls you and says बताओ आपका 3 महीने में आपको हमने पॉकेट मनी दी थी, आपका कितना खर्चा हुआ. That is milestone review. Premise control, I gave you an example. You want to go to a party and you think कि मम्मी हाँ बोल देगी, पापा मना कर देंगे, and your mom says no. So your strategy will have to change now. Your assumption was wrong in your strategy. That is premise control. And milestone is periodically कुछ check करना. That is milestone review. Entirely different things. Awesome. Let's go on to the next topic, which is strategy audit, right? Strategy audit is very different from whatever we have done, but it is also similar. Okay. Now understand this. बहुत ही simple है. If I can explain it to you, strategic control जो है, we were doing strategy control. Okay. जो आपका strategic control है, right? Strategic control करने का एक तरीका है. Strategic control करने का एक तरीका है strategy audit. Strategy control करने का एक तरीका है strategy audit. But, right? But how does this happen? Strategic control का एक methodology, एक तरीका है strategic audit, but it is majorly external, right? Strategy audit is from a perspective of an external party. Strategic control is from an internal party, right? आप business के अंदर रह के करते हो strategic control. Strategy audit भी internally ही होता है, but from a perspective of a third party, right? क्योंकि वो audit है, क्योंकि that is audit. The audit is, how is audit different from control? अभी strategic audit, strategic control को एक second भूल जाते हैं, right? What is the difference between control and audit? मुझे ये बता. What is the difference between control versus audit? Okay, who will explain this to me? You have studied audit, you know what audit is. What is the difference between control and audit? What is the difference between control and audit? You tell me. There is difference between control and audit, right? There is a difference between control and audit. क्या होता है? Difference between control and audit. Who will explain this to me? Quickly. Difference between control and audit. Okay, so control is managing, audit is checking. Absolutely. Wonderful answer there, Hina. Ria says audit is examination of information and giving opinion, and control is finding deviations and taking actions. Absolutely. Absolutely. Control is done by internal management, audit is done by the auditor. This is strategy audit. But ठीक है चलो, you get the concept. But this is strategy audit. The above two answers are bang on correct. Okay, so control is managing, audit is checking. Right? Huge difference. Control is managing, audit is checking. Right? Audit is examination of information and giving your opinion, while control is actually doing things. Right? It is actually taking action. ऑडिट को एक्शन नहीं लेना होता, ऑडिट आके बस ओपिनियन दे देता है, ये गलत हो रहा है, ठीक कर लेना. कंट्रोल इज ठीक कैसे करेंगे, ठीक कैसे करना है, गलत क्या हो रहा है, राइट? यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग गलत क्यों हो रहा है और गलत क्या हो रहा है is what control does, and the finding a solution to that. Audit is just giving an opinion to identify क्या जरूरत है चेंज करने की. It identifies the need to adjust the existing business strategies and plan. Existing, right? It only works on existing, जबकि control is also on changing and new strategies, right? स्ट्रैटेजी ऑडिट सिर्फ एग्जिस्टिंग बिजनेस स्ट्रैटेजी के ऊपर बात कर सकता है, while जो strategic control is involved in existing strategy, new strategy, the process of implementation and changing. जब strategy change हो रही है तब भी control चाहिए. Existing strategy then also you need control. ये नया strategy आ गई तब भी चाहिए, पुरानी strategy तब भी control चाहिए. During the process of change of strategy आपको control चाहिए. Audit सिर्फ existing के ऊपर चाहिए, right? Audit is just checking, control is managing and taking action. Wonderful answers, right? Control is part of strategy, audit is checking. Absolutely right. Control means monitoring and checking. Audit is examine task, whether it is like we planned or not. Absolutely. Audit is external verification, auditor or external party consultants, and giving an opinion thereon. Controls are internal action taking things, right? Control is a part of strategy, audit is checking. Absolutely. Audit is independent examination information. Control is examining and taking actions on deviations. Absolutely. Control is part of strategy. Control is a tool to prevent something. Audit is an examination. Absolutely. All the answers are correct. You understand. मेरे को क्या पढ़ाना है? I'll just stop the session here. You guys are super smart. Right? I even don't need to explain. I don't know why I'm speaking so much. You guys know everything. Right? So I'll quickly complete this. Strategy audit. Identifying the need to adjust the existing business strategies and plan. That is strategy audit. Audit मतलब check करना, control मतलब manage, and to take corrective actions in whatever the deviations are. Awesome, right? Okay. Strategic audit is a periodic review and evaluation, right? It is a review and evaluation. It is giving an opinion on the overall strategy, right? Now there was a question: how is strategy audit from your monthly review or reviews, right? See, it is talking about the entire strategy. Okay, ma'am. The point is, strategy audit is doing a periodic review and evaluation of the strategy as a whole. यहाँ पे we were only talking about implementation control में milestone review, right? Milestones होते हैं, 3 महीने में यहाँ पहुंचना है, 5 महीने में यहाँ पहुंचना है, right? So let's say you go from your city to, let's say you're going to a place which is 500 kilometers away by car. तो जैसे यार 7 बजे निकलेंगे, 10 बजे यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे, 12 बजे वहां पहुंच जाएंगे, फिर 6 बजे तक यहाँ पहुंच जाएंगे, यहाँ पे लंच कर लेंगे, right? So these are milestones. कि 10 बजे तक यहाँ पहुंच के then when it's 10 a.m. you understand अरे हाँ, where we wanted to reach this place by 10 a.m. we are at 10 a.m. That is milestone review. तो strategy audit थोड़ी ना, तो strategy audit थोड़ी ना. Audit is a periodic review and evaluation of the overall strategy. That is strategic audit, right? The core questions that strategy audit answers, वो क्या है? What are the core questions to be addressed by strategy audit, right? Core questions to be addressed by strategy audit. How well is the current strategy working? How well will the current strategy be working in future? How can this be evaluated in present and future? And how urgent is there a need to change the strategy? Right? आपके strategy audit कुछ questions के answer देता है जो कि 4 questions है. First, how well is the current strategy working. जो current strategy है, how well is it working. Second, whether this current strategy will also be working in the future. Number three, how do I evaluate abhi jo strategy hai, how do I evaluate whether it is doing right or not, and how will I evaluate it in the future, right? And number four, how urgent is there a need to change the strategy, zarurat hai bhi ya nahi hai, right? Whether you want to change, whether there is a need to change the strategy or not, and how urgent that is also what a strategy audit answers. Okay, very simple, right? That is exactly what strategy audit does. Okay. Okay, absolutely, Pooja. I am here to solve the doubts only, right? That is why these sessions are there, so that all the doubts are clarified live in the classes. Controller thinks how to do audit is how things are by checking, right? That is right, Nitya. So what I'll do is it's 8 a.m. We'll not take a long break. Even if your screen says 10 minutes ka break, we will be back in 5 minutes. Okay. I really want to, because this is the last session. Aaj ke baad we might not get time to discuss. I want to just complete this chapter in another, let's say, 30-40 minutes, right? And then we'll do अपना question answer. We'll take up questions, how to write subjective, case study कैसे करते, case scenario solve करेंगे फटाफट से, right? So we'll just take a break of 5 minutes today, right? You also go stretch yourself, drink something, pani wani pee lo, and we will be back within 5 minutes. Even if your screen says break of 10 minutes, be back in 5 minutes. Okay, be very quickly back in 5 minutes, and I'll see you here itself. We'll start from strategy audit the next slide. Okay, all right. I'll see you within 5 minutes. Be back on time. अब 5 के लेते हैं आज प्लीज, 5 का ही लेते हैं, मैंने उनको बोल दिया 5 का ही लेते हैं, कोई बात नहीं 10 लिख देंगे तब भी चलेगा. आई स्टार्ट इन 5. I would request all of you to be back as well. Very quickly, let us not waste much time and be back. Right? Okay. If the screen is showing 5 minutes break, right? It showed 5 minutes break. Our technical team is really smart. Okay. So Chaitanya, if you have any questions after these sessions, probably, I think even on the live classes website, they have mentioned that you can actually post your questions to live classes at ICAI.in or virtual classes at ICAI.org, right? Right, that's wonderful. आप गए नहीं थे तो. Probably you're still in your blanket there if you didn't move. Awesome, chalo. I really good to see that all of you are back. A lot of you are back, right? We'll just wait for another 10 seconds so that आगे पीछे ना हो जाए, right? Quickly, everyone who is able to hear me, probably please be back. And because we'll start from the next slide of strategy audit, right? Hmm. Awesome. Okay. Great. So we have people back. So I will also start quickly. See, the strategy audit, it includes three basic activities. Strategy audit, हमें समझ आ गया, it is about checking, it is about giving an opinion on the strategy, solving some questions which are like, is the current strategy right? Will it work in the future also? How will I evaluate today and tomorrow? How urgent is the need to change the strategy? समझ आ गया. Three basic activities: examining, comparing, taking corrective action. Right. Now, taking corrective actions is only suggestions. Right. यहाँ पे it only gives suggestions. ये सिर्फ suggest करता है. Right. It only suggests यहाँ पे. It does not take actions. वो control में आता है. वो implementation में आता है. Right. It examines the underlying basis. It compares the expected results with actual results. Audit है. Audit में क्या करते हो आप? When you go on audit, you look at the balance sheet. You look at balance sheet of current year versus the previous year, right? Current year की balance sheet को you look at from the previous year and you see here how is it changing. Expected result, you go and suggest a corrective way that adjustment कर लो. Do an adjustment in your financial, or you report that, or you give an opinion in that. You mention that problem in your report. Same strategy audit में होता है. You examine, you compare that, and you give corrective action suggestions that this is how you can adjust the problem. This is if something is going wrong, this is what you can do, right? And how urgent is the need to change. यहाँ पे सबसे important क्या है वो बताता है. अगर आपकी strategy काम नहीं कर रही है तो फटाफट change करो. बहुत गड़बड़ होने वाली है, कोई बात नहीं, आराम से धीरे धीरे change कर लेना, right? So that is what it tells. Right, Jamil, I think it's a problem on your side. The video is working absolutely fine, right? So these are the three basic activities that your strategy audit undertakes. The three basic activities that a strategy audit is undertaking is examining, comparing, and taking corrective actions, which means suggesting what should be the right way, what should be the correct way of doing things. Right. So three basic activities: examining, comparing, and taking corrective actions. Right. Okay. Why do we need it? Why do we need it? समझ आ गया करता क्या है, करते कैसे है. I know what a strategy audit is. उसमें होता क्या है. I understand, but why is it needed? Why is it needed? Okay. Now look at this. Why, when, and why is it needed? So both answers मिलेंगे. जब आप देखेंगे, when you will see that the strategy is not producing desired outcomes, you should go for strategy audit. When you see that the strategy is not giving desired outcome, आप सोच रहे थे कंपनी बहुत बड़ी हो जाएगी, you're dreaming of your company becoming a very big company, but it is not becoming a big company. It's been 5-6 years and your company is not growing so much. There is some problem. You're not achieving your desired outcomes. You go and do a strategic audit. You go and do a strategic audit, right? Okay, awesome. और probably बीच में pause हुई थी, but it's fine. Okay. The strategy audit need is Not when the strategy is not producing desired outcomes, you do a strategy audit. When your objectives are not being accomplished, you do a strategy audit, right? स्ट्रैटेजी ठीक कुछ डिजायर्ड आउटकम नहीं दे रही, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर नॉट बीइंग अकम्प्लिश्ड, लाइक प्रॉफिट बनाना है, पैसे बनाने हैं, स्मॉल स्मॉल ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर मेजरेबल थिंग्स, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर स्मॉल मेजरेबल टास्क्स, राइट? इफ दे आर नॉट बीइंग अकम्प्लिश्ड ऑन अ मेजर, हर फंक्शन में, एवरी एसबीयू, इन एवरी फंक्शन कुछ ना कुछ ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर नॉट बीइंग अकम्प्लिश्ड, a lot of people, a lot of objectives are not being accomplished, do a strategy audit कि क्या गलत जा रहा है, right? Major change takes place in the external environment, do a strategy audit. How urgent is the need to change, right? It will help you answer the question how urgent you need the change to happen in your company when there is a major change in the external environment. When the top management plans to fine tune the existing strategy or introduce new strategy, you do a strategy audit, right? कि existing strategy में क्या problem है, how can we change that? I want to improve the quality of my strategy. अभी strategy अच्छी है, what we are doing is absolutely right, but I want to fine tune it, right? एक भी गलती पे chance ना हो. So what is the next thing I should do? To do a strategy audit. ठीक है, strategy कैसी है, measurable है, आज कैसी लग रही है, how will it look in the future, how much change is needed, whether this fine tuning is needed or not. Strategy audit. Or ensure that strategy is in tune with the subtle internal and external changes that may have occurred since the formulation. Same है, external environment जैसा है. But it is also saying not just external, कुछ internal change भी हुआ है. CEO change हो गया, CFOs have changed, you have created a new organizational structure. अभी external environment में कुछ change नहीं हुआ, but internally you changed from a divisional structure to a functional structure, from a functional structure to a multi-divisional structure. Or let's say your company was working in an network structure, but अभी उसने SBUs करके इतना बड़ा अपने आप को कर लिया that it is now into an SBU structure. Internal change हुआ है strategy में, organizational change हुआ है. If within the company, you go for a strategy audit. Whether my strategy is making sense, whether it will make sense in the future, plus whether do I need to change things or not. If I want to change things, if I have to change things, how urgently I need to change those things. Right? That is what a strategy audit is needed. When the strategy is not producing desired results, objectives are not accomplished, major change happens in the external environment. The management wants to fine-tune the existing strategy and to ensure that if there is an internal change or an external change, your management says that boss strategy audit कर लेते ताकि समझ आ जाए are we on the right track or not, right? That is what the fourth point means, Priyanshi. Right? When the top management thinks कि यार हमको और अच्छा करना, right? I am doing great, my business is doing good, but I want to be the topmost company. मुझे strategy को और fine tune करना है. I want it to be the best. So you do a strategy audit. How do I improve the current strategy? How do I improve the current strategy is what strategy audit helps you with. Or if there is an internal change, organization structure change हो गया, capital structure change हो गया, more investors have come into company. So let's say आप startup, right? Startup में you started, 3 friends started a company, 33% each. In the next 3 years, you got a lot of investment, your business is becoming big, and now there are 7 more people in the company. So 10 people totally own 10% in the company. Now you will have to see कि structure ही change हो गया company का. पहले 3 लोग हम काम करते थे, अब 10 लोग मैनेजमेंट में है, 10 people are taking decisions. So what you'll do is you'll go for a strategy audit कि हमारी current strategy, whether it is making sense when 10 people are taking decisions, is this the right strategy what we are doing, or do we need to divide work amongst 10 people? Do I have to change something in my strategy? How do I analyze that? Will this 10 people wala structure be helpful in the next 5 years also? Future में relevant रहेगी ये strategy या नहीं? That is strategy audit when it is needed. That is the fourth point. Okay, cool. What I've done is session J. This was actually to be completed yesterday, but we did case scenario. So session till here today इसको आज ignore करेंगे. We will complete this today, right? Because I wanted to do questions, so I have to do questions with you. That is what my aim is. Strategy evaluation is more difficult today. Why? See, strategy evaluation karna, when you're doing strategy audit, you have to do strategy evaluation, right? And when you do strategy evaluation, it is more difficult today because the environment is complex, right? And the rapid rate of obsolescence is even the best plan. Innovation हो रही है, technology है, right? Technology की वजह से, I'll use a different color. Because of technology, right? Because of technology, what is happening is बहुत जल्दी changes आ रहे हैं, right? A lot of changes are happening very quickly because of technology, and even the environment is complex. सरकारें change हो रही हैं, a lot of environmental pressure, a lot of things happening around the globe. Abhi, if you're looking at news, now Facebook, that is Meta, has said that European countries are very harsh with their policies of privacy, so we might have to stop our operations in Europe. And European people are saying, बॉस ठीक है, बाय, हमें जरूरत नहीं फेसबुक की, फेसबुक के बिना भी हमारा जीवन चलता है, राइट? मेटा के बिना भी हमारा जीवन चलेगा, मर नहीं जाएंगे, राइट? So this is kind of environmental complexity that a company operates in. Europe जैसे continent, where it is like one of the most developed continents, that forces a business like Meta, right, such a big company, to just go out of the continent and say, boss, we don't need you, all right? Do not act smart, we don't need you. So that is a kind of environmental complexity a business works in. So evaluation of strategy is very difficult. अभी strategic team of Meta, that is Facebook, वो बैठ के ऑफिस में सोच रहे हैं, यार यूरोप में हम प्लान करते हैं, let us build Facebook or Meta, the largest company in Europe. Let us go to Europe. Let us expand in Europe. And European countries say, boss, previously you're making a joke of our laws. You're making a joke of our policies. We don't entertain this. We don't welcome you in our country. Stop working in our country. That is the kind of environmental complexity a company works in. The evaluation of strategy is extremely difficult nowadays. Plus technology. रोज ही कहीं नई कंपनी आके it becomes big, right? New technology. Every company is becoming a unicorn in India. Every startup you will hear, यार कितने unicorn, इतने सारे unicorn बन गए, because the technology is so quick. You cannot fight those things, right? बिग बास्केट को 10 मिनट में डिलीवरी करना पड़ रहा है. Your Ola is doing 10 minutes delivery, Flipkart is doing 10 minutes delivery, अब Amazon भी आएगा 10 minutes, your Grofers, Blinkit is doing 10 minutes. टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी तेज चेंज हो रही है, you cannot, it is very difficult to evaluate a strategy. If I'm doing a strategy, let's say 2 साल में ये करेंगे, 1 साल में ये करेंगे, the other day your competitor is bringing a revolutionary technology, your entire strategy flop हो गई. आप ऑडिट ही करते रह जाओगे, दूसरा बंदा बिजनेस करके चला जाएगा, right? So that is why it is very difficult. It is very difficult in today's setup. Right? That is what this slide says. Okay. Quickly to one of the the easiest naam sunke, you will be like, boss, what is this? What is this business process re-engineering? What is this? Itna difficult, isme kya hota hai? I don't understand. Simple. Very simple, right? Just remember this thing, and your business process re-engineering is solved, right? ये solve हो गया, यही होता है. Business process re-engineering सिर्फ यही होता है, starting all over again from scratch a particular process, okay? Not the strategy. यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? Business strategy re-engineering नहीं. This is not business strategy re-engineering. This is not business objective re-engineering. This is not business plan re-engineering. This is not business audit re-engineering. This is business process re-engineering. छोटे छोटे processes होते हैं. In every business there are different processes, right? Finance के example लीजिए. So if you're taking an example of, you are the finance, you're going to work in finance, right? Finance में कितने सारे process होते हैं, right? How will an expense, let me give you a classic example. A company, a person, an employee does an expense and you have to reimburse that expense, right? You go to big fours or companies where people, what do people do? आज हम पेट्रोल, इस महीने हमने 5,000 रुपए का पेट्रोल यूज किया है, so I want to reimburse this expense. That is a process in a company, right? People will come and that they will get a stamped invoice, they will upload in the system, someone in the system will check whether it is genuine or not, and they will check with the policy. They are allowed only 4,000 rupees as reimbursement, they are asking for 5,000 rupees. So they tell them, boss, आप सिर्फ 4,000 रुपए का reimbursement ले सकते हो. They say, नहीं, I will get you approval from my manager so that I can get 5,000. You say, okay, bring approval. Then they bring approval, then you approve that and you send 5,000 rupees through banking partners, through banking team to their account. तो पूरा प्रोसेस है. कितना छोटा सा प्रोसेस है फॉर अ कंपनी, राइट? बिजनेस तो बहुत अलग चल रहा है. This company is making toys, let's say, but उसके लिए finance का एक process है, how people get reimbursement, right? This is a business process. Very small example I'm giving, right? And if I have to change this process, क्योंकि इस process में कुछ problem है, there is certain problem, कुछ issue आ रहा है इस process में, people are doing frauds, your employees are overpassing the limits, हर कोई approval लाके पैसे लिए जा रहा है, right? If your policy says 4,000, हर कोई कह रहा है नहीं नहीं कोई बात नहीं, approval ले आओ 5,000 में मिल जाते हैं. Everyone is taking approval and getting 5,000 rupees. कुछ तो problem है process में. You need to be strict with this process. So you re-engineer, you फिर से you create this thing from the scratch. You identify क्या क्या problem है इस process में and you do it from the scratch again. Business process re-engineering. Simple, right? Okay. A process is a set of logical related tasks for a specified outcome. जो मैंने आपको example दिया, just imagine that only, right? It is a set of interconnected processes comprise a business system. एक business system है which is comprised of interconnected processes. Business system क्या है? Reimbursement का. उसके अंदर we have interconnected processes. Invoice introduce होगा. People will analyze कि वो invoice correct है या नहीं. फिर उसको क्वेश्चन करेंगे, he will bring an approval or she will bring an approval, they will then approve it, approval हो जाएगा तो वो approval मिल जाएगी, then the HR person will approve it and send money को send करने के लिए they will reach the banking team approve करेगी, banking team से पैसा जाएगा. This will take 7 days, within 7 days you have to reimburse people, that is the policy. So different interrelated processes comprise a business system, right? And the redesigning of these processes provides a powerful basis for improving the performance of the business. क्यों करना है हमको? Why do I even have to change the process? Because there is some problem in the process and I have to improve the performance. The idea of business process reengineering is to improve the performance. To improve the performance of the business enterprise is what the logic is, what the objective of business process reengineering is. Okay, to improve the performance of the business entity. Okay, super duper simple. Now, BPR का simple logic is starting all over again, starting from the scratch. It does not mean कि partial modification या improvement कर दी, right? थोड़ी सी improvement कर दी, थोड़ी सी modification कर दी, नहीं. That is not BPR. That is not business process reengineering. It means to start all over again, right? आप थोड़ी सी improvement कर दो, कुछ change करके इसको ठीक कर दिया, that is improvement, that is correction, that is not BPR. Business process reengineering is starting all over again. पूरा system change कर दिया, पूरा process change कर दोगे आप from the scratch. That is business process reengineering, right? The objective हमने पढ़ लिया. Objective क्या है? Improving the performance. To the quantum gains in the performance. ये business process reengineering होती इसीलिए है ताकि performance अच्छी हो, so that you improve your performance of the company, and that is why you do a business process reengineering, starting all over again a particular process, not the strategy, not the objective, not a goal, not a mission, not a vision. You're not changing that. You're changing a certain process. छोटा सा भी कोई process हो सकता है कंपनी में, किसी भी business system में, किसी भी function में, out of all the functions, किसी भी function में कोई भी छोटा सा भी process है, if you're changing that from scratch, it is called business process re-engineering, which is done to gain performance improvement, right? Okay. Now, ideally, क्या होता है? I'm talking about ideal. In an ideal situation, it is basically focused on core business processes, right? आपके business में तो बहुत सारे processes होते हैं. A business will have a lot of processes, thousands and thousands of processes. But BPR generally focuses on core business processes, which are very critical to the business, right? Which are very critical to the business in terms of any function. किसी भी function के हो सकते हैं, but which are very critical to the business. Critical means very important for the overall performance, right? Now, like I was giving you example of reimbursement, right? अभी reimbursement, why is it? I think it's a core. It can depend. अभी who defines the core business process? कौन बताएगा core business process क्या? Company खुद बताएगी, right? While some core business processes are easily identifiable, some business processes may not always be immediately apparent, right? That means कोई वेल डिफाइंड डेफिनेशन नहीं है कि व्हाट इज अ क्रिटिकल कोर बिजनेस प्रोसेस. It really depends on the business. It really depends on what the management thinks कि यार ये बड़ा critical है, right? Whatever the management thinks कि ये बहुत critical है, this is something that we need to control, this is something that we need to check, this is something that we need to change क्योंकि इसमें problem आ रही है, which is very critical for us. अगर ये change नहीं करेंगे तो performance पे बहुत ज़्यादा impact है. If you're not going to change this particular process, it is going to impact the performance a lot. That becomes critical for the business. It can be anything. It can be anything, right? But it should be critical for the business. बिजनेस के लिए क्रिटिकल होना चाहिए तभी आप बीपीआर करोगे. ऐसे छोटे मोटे प्रोसेसेस के लिए इफ यू गो एंड डू वेस्ट टाइम ऑन बिजनेस स्टार्टिंग ऑल ओवर फ्रॉम स्क्रैच, योर पीपल विल बी सो बोर्ड, यार ये तो हर चीज ही चेंज करते रहते, राइट? कोई यूज है नहीं, पूरा प्रोसेस नया बना दिया. पीपल विल हैव, योर एम्प्लॉइज विल बी वेरी फ्रस्ट्रेटेड. So you do business process reengineering only on the critical core business processes, right? Which are impacting your performance, which are impacting your decision making, right? That is what PPR is more focused on, which are critical core business processes, right? And these core processes may change over period of time. आज जो मेरे लिए critical है वो कल critical नहीं होगा. For example, take your example. For you, it is critical to score good marks today. After 5 years, once you become a chartered accountant, getting marks in examination is not even critical. So, hey, that is not part of your job, life then, right? So similarly, for a business, the core process changes over a period of time. Because as the company grows, as the things change in the company, the critical processes also change. आज कुछ critical है, कल कुछ और critical होगा, right? The core processes, the critical core processes also keep changing from time to time, right? And उसके ऊपर we do business process reengineering, right? For only on the core critical business processes, we generally do business process reengineering. Okay, right. Few issues. What are the few issues, right? Customer focused organization need to be realigned in terms of process orientation. That means अगर आप प्रोसेस चेंज कर रहे हो एंड योर बिजनेस इज वेरी कस्टमर फोकस्ड, राइट? इफ इट इज वेरी कस्टमर फोकस्ड यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल. अभी कस्टमर के लिए अगर आप प्रोसेस चेंज कर दोगे, इट विल बी ए डिफिकल्ट थिंग. इफ योर प्रोसेस इज रिलेटेड टू द कस्टमर, लेट्स से कस्टमर सर्विस, एक कस्टमर सर्विस का प्रोसेस है, इफ यू चेंज दैट प्रोसेस व्हिच इज कस्टमर फेसिंग, कस्टमर को नई चीज सीखनी पड़ेगी. कस्टमर अभी आप क्या करते हैं, इफ यू कैन डू कस्टमर सर्विस थ्रू मोबाइल ऐप, किसी ने मोबाइल ऐप पे नहीं होगा, अब आपको एसएमएस भेजना पड़ेगा या कॉल करनी पड़ेगी. यू चेंजिंग द प्रोसेस. कस्टमर फोकस्ड प्रोसेस चेंज करोगे, यू हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल, right? Because customer might not like it. वो feedback, why will they learn something new for your process? Why will they learn something new? Because it is helping your performance, right? You have to make it easy for them then, right? You have to do a BPR so that it makes things easy, right? You have to be realigned with the process कि उसको आसान बनाना. When you're doing a BPR, which is customer focused service or customer focused process, make it easy, right? Second is operational excellence. It is a major basis for competitiveness. Why are we doing that? Few issues क्या है, operational excellence लाना पड़ता है. So it is the major basis for competitiveness. What is happening when you're changing the process, right? Why is it critical? Why is it so issue, right? Why आपको BPR करने के टाइम सोचना क्या पड़ेगा? That if I'm changing something, whether it will add to a competitiveness of the business या मैं सिर्फ अपनी comfort के लिए कर रहा हूँ, right? Whether I am doing a business process re-engineering, right? Whether I'm doing a business process re-engineering, whether it will add to the competitiveness या मेरे सिर्फ comfort के लिए मैं कर रहा हूँ, मेरे लिए आसान हो जाएगा, I'm doing it because it will become easy for me, or whether am I doing because it will add to competitiveness, performance improve होगी and it will add to competitiveness of the business, तभी I should do a BPR, right? ऐसे बैठे बैठे मेरे को BPR नहीं करते रहना चाहिए, right? Dramatic improvement in performance is prerequisite, right? ड्रामेटिक इम्प्रूव, बहुत ज्यादा इंप्रूवमेंट है. छोटी मोटी इंप्रूवमेंट के लिए आप बिजनेस प्रोसेस रीइंजीनियरिंग नहीं करें. यू विल नॉट डू बिजनेस प्रोसेस रीइंजीनियरिंग फॉर छोटा मोटा इंप्रूवमेंट. यू विल हैव टू डू दैट फॉर ड्रामेटिक इंप्रूव, मैसिव इंप्रूवमेंट. भाई सब कुछ चेंज हो गया, आपका परफॉर्मेंस आज 5 आउट ऑफ 10 थी, अब 10 आउट ऑफ 10 हो गई, तभी आप बिजनेस प्रोसेस रीइंजीनियरिंग करने के बारे में सोचना, राइट? दैट इज व्हेन अ बिजनेस should plan to do a business process reengineering, when there will be dramatic improvement in the process. Let's say you're already at 9 out of 10. Your ranking in your process is 9 out of 10. You will not do business process reengineering क्योंकि एक point improvement के लिए scratch से शुरू करना doesn't make sense, right? कोई dramatic improvement नहीं होगी. So you're at 9, so your ranking is 9 out of 10. Like you get 9 marks out of 10. 10 out of 10 लाने के लिए आप पूरा फिर से process शुरू से नहीं करोगे. You will just improve something, and that is not BPR. BPR तो scratch से होता है. And when you're doing from scratch, it should be a dramatic improvement. अभी आप 3-4 points पे हो, you go to 8 or 9 points directly by changing this process, by re-engineering this process, right? Only then it will make sense. Simple logic. आप सोचोगे तो logic है, जब scratch से सब कुछ करना है तो कुछ भाई बड़ा करना चाहिए, right? That is what business process re-engineering is. जब scratch से ही कर रहे हो तो फिर better improvement आनी चाहिए. When I'm putting so much effort to do it from scratch, I should get much better results. छोटे मोटे improvement के लिए क्यों इतनी मेहनत करेंगे? Logic. Core critical process, Charu. Core critical process which is very important for your business. Any process which is very important for your business, that is a core critical process. Okay, awesome. Now BPR का सबसे अच्छा तरीका क्या है? BPR is simplifying and streamlining a process by eliminating all redundant and non-value adding steps, right? The best way to do business process reengineering is you simplify your process and streamline your process to make it smooth by eliminating useless activities. जिस चीज का कोई काम ही नहीं है प्रोसेस में उसको हटा दो. by making computers do that by use of IT systems. Manual चीजों को हटा दो. Stop doing manual work. You have to exit the manual intervention into a lot of processes and automate it, right? The moment you make computers do things in your business process, they become easy, they become fast, they become smooth, they can be done 24/7 into 365 without getting tired, right? So through use of IT systems, you remove the manual work and into your any of your critical process, and that brings about a business process reengineering. So BPR is simple. Simplify and streamline a process by eliminating redundant and non-value adding steps by bringing in IT systems to take over those, right? IT systems will improve your performance of the company. You introduced IT systems. Why is Wipro, TCS, Infosys इतना ज़्यादा boom क्यों कर रहे हैं, right? If you go to the market, if you study market, if you all know Wipro, Infosys, TCS, billions and billions dollar of business, हर साल धंधा ही धंधा आता जा रहा है. क्यों? This is what they're doing. This is what TCS, Wipro, Infosys is doing. They're doing business process engineering for the other businesses, right? IT systems बेचते हैं वो लोग, right? They are introducing IT systems for ease, right? Streamline कर देते हैं process. For example, income tax website, GST website, क्या कर रहे हैं वो लोग? Eliminating all redundant and non-value adding steps जो पहले लोग पेपर पे करते थे. GST फाइलिंग हो रही है, इनकम टैक्स फाइलिंग हो रही है. They're simplifying and streamlining a process by eliminating all redundant activities through use of IT systems. इसीलिए तो Wipro, Infosys, TCS is booming. The SaaS business, the IT companies are booming because this is what they're doing for the businesses. वो simplify कर रही है process, वो streamline कर रही है process, non-value adding steps हटा रही है through use of IT systems. This is business process reengineering from a business perspective, right? Can automation of process be an example of BPR? Rajakta, automation of process is not an example of BPR. Automation of process is the way to do BPR, right? Automation of a process is not an example, but it is the way to do BPR. BPR करते ही automation of process से, right? Once you automate a process, that is business process reengineering. Because आप scratch से उसको एक automation mode में ला रहे हो. Improvement नहीं कर रहे हो. Scratch से बना रहे हो through automation of a process, right? That is why it is BPR. Okay, cool. Very simple, 3 simple elements, right? 3 simple elements of BPR क्या है? Reengineering begins with fundamental rethinking. क्योंकि हम scratch से कर रहे हैं. Remember, you are looking at BPR from scratch, right? आप scratch से देख रहे हो तो logic है यार, simple है. This process because you're doing from scratch. It involves radical redesigning. That means logic लगा रहे हो. अच्छा क्या क्या हटा सकते हैं, क्या क्या रखना है, क्या क्या रख सकते हैं, what are the things, actions things within the process that I have to keep. What is the logic behind redesigning the process? Flow of logic क्या है? इसके बाद ये होना चाहिए, इसके बाद ये होना चाहिए, इसके बाद ये होना चाहिए. What are the steps in a particular process? Logic क्या है? You understand that. And finally, you achieve dramatic improvement by doing BPR, right? Three elements हैं. Fundamental rethinking. You sit down and rethink the entire process from scratch. Then you identify the logic क्या है. यार 10 steps हैं. If in a particular process you think 10 steps हैं, ये बीच के 3 steps तो useless हैं. इनकी जरूरत ही नहीं है. जबरदस्ती के कर रहे हैं हम लोग. Okay, so let me eliminate 3 steps. By logic, only 7 steps are needed, and then you automate it. That is BPR, right? You rethink the entire process, fundamental rethinking, putting logic to redesigning. कि क्या क्या चाहिए, क्या क्या नहीं चाहिए, क्या useless है, what is important, what is not important, non-important को हटा दो, right? Just keep 7 steps in the process, and you aim at achieving dramatic improvements by doing BPR, right? Simple है. That is what BPR does, right? Okay. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Very quickly. Within another 15 minutes, हम लोग chapter complete भी कर देंगे. Right? Okay. Very simple. BPR, 3 categories of processes. The 3 categories of processes in BPR. फिर से very simple. Development and delivery, interface with customer and management activity. अभी हम लोग क्या बात कर रहे हैं? Right? When I was telling you customer facing कुछ आपका process होगा, be very careful. Right? Your processes, what they've done is your business processes को they have just divided into 3 things. Okay. The entire gamut of processes जो आपकी business में हो रहे हैं, you will identify your business में तो there will be thousands and thousands of processes. How do I identify कि भाई कहाँ पे I want to do a business process engineering, right? So what they're saying is in BPR, let me just categorize the entire bouquet of processes into 3 categories. बिजनेस की पूरे बिजनेस के सारे प्रोसेसेस को 3 कैटेगरीज में डिवाइड कर लेते हैं. पहला है डेवलपमेंट एंड डिलीवरी, राइट? लेट अस फर्स्ट क्रिएट अ कैटेगरी कॉल्ड डेवलपमेंट एंड डिलीवरी, जिसमें ऑल द प्रोसेसेस ऑफ R&D, इंजीनियरिंग, लॉजिस्टिक्स एंड प्रोक्योरमेंट आते हैं, राइट? Let us do development and delivery category of processes, जिसके अंदर we will do R&D से related processes related to engineering, processes related to logistics and procurement. हम लोग क्या पढ़ रहे हैं? Business process engineering. What are we studying? There are thousands of processes. How do I categorize them? How do I put them into different buckets so that I can easily understand कि मुझे business process engineering कहाँ पे है? First one, customer. Second kind of processes which are related or which involve interface with the customers, like marketing, order fulfillment, delivery, right? Order fulfillment is your person comes at home and gives you a delivery, right? Flipkart, Amazon personally comes, Zomato wala aata hai, Swiggy wala aata hai, right? All these order fulfillment or a marketing, which is directly involving with the customers. All the processes related to that एक bucket में डाल देते हैं. Number 3, let us put this into management activities. Development हो गया, customer facing हो गया, अब एक management की related activities डाल देते हैं, like strategy formulation, planning and budgeting, performance measurement and reporting, right? All the processes, generally you as a finance person will always be here, right? Generally finance wale people are always in management activities because you're doing planning and budgeting, you're doing strategy formulation, you're doing performance measurement, audit, reporting, right? So processes related to all these activities are in management activities. So 3 major categories में बांट के it becomes easier कि अच्छा चलो development and delivery में performance increase करनी है. BPR is focusing on improving the performance. So now if I think in my business, I have to improve my performance in activities and processes which are management related. So I will think, ठीक है, planning, budgeting related processes में improvement लाते हैं, performance measurement में improvement लाते हैं. If I think नहीं यार मुझे development and delivery में I have to improve my performance as a business, I will go to R&D related or engineering related, procurement related activities में जाके I'll identify क्या गलत हो रहा है, what all can I automate, what all can I automate. That is how you categorize and improve your performance through business process re-engineering, which is starting from scratch a particular process, right? Okay. सब कुछ समझ आ गया। अब तो ये वाला स्लाइड तो हमको खुद ही आती है, इसमें तो बताने की जरूरत ही क्या है। तो बीपीआर करते कैसे हैं, राइट? हाउ डू यू डू अ बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग? बहुत ही सिंपल है, बहुत ही सिंपल है। यू डिटरमाइन योर ऑब्जेक्टिव कि भाई मुझे करना क्या है, वो इम्प्रूवमेंट कितनी लानी है। ऑब्जेक्टिव इज ऑलवेज मेजरेबल एंड क्वांटिफाइड, राइट? रिमेंबर, आपको तो पता ही है, ऑब्जेक्टिव्स आर मेजरेबल, दे हैव नंबर्स, दे हैव क्वांटिटी, राइट? कि इतने दिन में इतना पैसा, इतने दिन में इतनी इंप्रूवमेंट, इन द नेक्स्ट 6 months 40% इंप्रूवमेंट मुझे चाहिए। सो डिटरमाइन ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, identify customers and determine their needs. What does this mean? Customers not just the external customer, this also means within the company. मतलब basically यहाँ पे your customers are your employees, right? आप process change कर रहे हो for your customer, becomes easy for them, you understand their need. So a finance person, and I am a finance person, मैं बहुत ज़्यादा manual काम करता हूँ, let us say, right? So I am the customer for the BPR strategy कि भाई इसका काम मुझे आसान करना है, दिस पर्टिकुलर फाइनेंस पर्सन और फाइनेंस टीम का काम मुझे आसान करना है। तो डिटरमाइन देयर नीड्स एंड आइडेंटिफाई दोस कस्टमर्स, इसके लिए ये प्रोसेस इंप्रूव कर रहे हैं, हाउ विल दिस हेल्प देम, राइट? स्टडी द एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोसेस, अभी क्या हो रहा है, अभी क्या कर रहे हो, व्हाई इज इट सो मैनुअल, व्हाई, व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, व्हाट इज गोइंग रॉन्ग विद दिस प्रोसेस, व्हाई आर यू नॉट परफॉर्मिंग वेल? फॉर्मुलेट अ रीडिजाइन प्लान एंड इम्प्लीमेंट द रीडिजाइन, करेक्ट? आप एग्जिस्टिंग प्लान पढ़ोगे, उसको रीडिजाइन करोगे एंड फाइनली यू विल इम्प्लीमेंट इट। और ये सब करते ही इम्प्लीमेंटेशन फाउंडेशन यहाँ पे आता है आपको ऑटोमेशन, राइट? यू विल ऑटोमेट, जो अभी हम पढ़ रहे थे, यू विल ऑटोमेट इन दीज टू थिंग्स एंड दैट विल हेल्प यू इन बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग, दैट विल हेल्प यू इन बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग। ओके, कूल। दिस यू नो टेक्नोलॉजी रोल क्या है, टाइम बचाता है, ऑटोमेशन, व्हेन आई एम सेइंग ऑटोमेशन यहाँ पे, व्हाई इज ऑटोमेशन सो मच प्रेशर, इतना ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंस क्यों दी गई ऑटोमेशन को? बिकॉज कंप्रेशन ऑफ टाइम, overcoming restrictions of geography or distance, and restrict your restructuring of relationships. Computer क्या करता है, टाइम कम कर देता है, it uses less time, it can be done from anywhere in the world, and restructuring of relationship, that means बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को you can reach out, a lot of people can connect over the internet through information technology. That is why it is so impactful in a business process ranging. सिंपल है, हमें पता ही कंप्यूटर कहता है, टाइम बचाता है, एफर्ट बचाता है, मेहनत बचाता है, इट कैन बी डन फ्रॉम एनीवेयर इन द वर्ल्ड, एंड मोर पीपल कैन कम ऑन टू अ प्रोसेस एंड कनेक्ट विद ईच अदर, राइट? दैट इज व्हाई इट इज मोर यूजफुल टू यूज इंफॉर्मेशन सिस्टम्स इन बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग, राइट? ओके, तो क्या कर रही है, एक ही चीज को, सो पीपीआर इज अ टॉपिक जब एक ही चीज को बार 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 अलग तरीके से दिखाते रहते हैं, राइट? सो व्हाट इज डूइंग, एफिशिएंसी कर रहा है, इफेक्टिवनेस बढ़ा रहा है, एंड इनोवेशन कर रहा है, राइट? एक ही चीज को 100 तरीके से पढ़ा रहे हैं इन बीपीआर, राइट? व्हाई इज दिस हैपनिंग इज बिजनेस वैल्यूज इन 3 डिस्टिंक्ट वेज। हाउ इज बीपीआर एडिंग वैल्यू टू द बिजनेस? एफिशिएंसी बढ़ा रहा है, इफेक्टिवनेस बढ़ा रहा है, ये दोनों परफॉर्मेंस रिलेटेड है, राइट? We, you and me both know efficiency and effectiveness add to performance, right? And BPR का काम क्या है? BPR का काम ही है कि आप performance, BPR's work is to improve the performance, right? To bring about quantum improvement in performance. That is why it is BPR, right? Efficiency and effectiveness. Efficient हो जाता है, it becomes effective, right? Effective है and efficient है, BPR की वजह से आपका process becomes more efficient, the process becomes more efficient, effective, and finally it adds to innovation because you're doing from scratch, you're doing something new in the process, so it also adds to innovation in the process, right? Through automation, through information systems, right? That is how it is done, कि आपका innovation भी हो जाती है, effectiveness भी हो जाती है, efficiency भी हो जाती है. That is how a BPR plays a role in your entire process. That is how these systems add value. The IT systems in BPR add value to the business to adding efficiency, effectiveness, and innovation, right? It is a continuous improvement process. Always remember, it is a continuous improvement process. It is a continuous improvement process. ये one time नहीं होता है. कभी किसी प्रोसेस में करोगे, कभी किसी और प्रोसेस में करोगे, कभी उसी प्रोसेस को दोबारा करोगे, right? So BPR is not a one-time activity; it is a continuous improvement process. Just remember this, right? Just remember this, that it is a continuous improvement process which aims at reducing the cycle time of the process, right? It is a continuous improvement process which aims at reducing the cycle time of the process. Okay? Continuously karte rehte, continuously we keep working on this, it reduces the cycle time of the process. That is what BPR is all about, right? Any questions so far? Simple, छोटी छोटी slides हैं, छोटे छोटे topics हैं, which are at the end of the day saying the same thing. At the end of the day, they are saying the exact same thing, right? Any questions so far? Anything that is not, if it's clear, just give me a heads up that it's all clear. Can someone please reply if everything is clear or not? Are you able to understand? Are you following the concept? Awesome, awesome. It's all clear. Wonderful. सुशील, you are late. Efficiency and effectiveness पूरा chapter खत्म हो गया. Chapter 8 का part 1 we talked 30 minutes on that. You will have to go back to that and see that, right? Awesome. All clear, all clear, all clear. Wonderful. Thanks, Sushil. Thanks, Sandeep. Okay, Pooja, wonderful. Let us quickly go on to understand this topic, which says कि how is business process reengineering different from general improvement? अभी मैं किसी भी process में कुछ भी छोटी सी चीज improve कर दूं, how is that different from a business process reengineering, right? Differentiates reengineering from any other drive on improving the organizational efficiency. How is that different? How is that different? Okay, very quickly, बहुत ही easy है ये, तो हमको समझ आ गया है, बार बार यही पढ़ रहे हैं. The concept of discontinuous thinking, that means starting from the scratch, right? वही हमने पढ़ा है. Why? First thing, how is it different is discontinuous thinking. That means we will discontinue this thing and we will do it from the very beginning. ये जो thought process है, ये सिर्फ business process range में, right? The thought process that we'll discontinue something and we will do that from the very scratch, from the very start, वो सिर्फ BPR में है. While re-engineering starts with the process, it does not end there. It is a continuous process. Improvement एक process में हम कभी कर रहे हैं, कभी करके business process सिर्फ आज यहाँ पे, आज उस process में, अब उस process में, अब उस process में. It's a continuous process for the company. Continuous activity. It is a continuous strategic activity for a company to improve their performance, right? It doesn't just start at a process. It doesn't even end at a process. It keeps on going. It keeps on going, right? BPR efforts involve managing massive organizational change, right? अभी क्या होता है, BPR also helps when there is a massive organizational change. Your BPR techniques, the BPR methodologies also help in that, right? Because you're doing from scratch. Your BPR efforts are also there when something big happens in the company, because your business knows how to discontinue something and start something from scratch. So it becomes easier when your organizational change happens, right? And final, BPR aims at using IT, information technology use करते हैं for new processes and automation, which involvement might or might not use. Improvement in other, like small improvements might or might not use IT, but BPR, business process reengineering में always IT systems are used. Okay, awesome, simple है. And discontinuous thinking, how is it different from any other improvement in the business? How is BPR different from any other improvement in the business? First, it would discontinuous thinking is starting from scratch. Second, it does not just end at a process, it's a continuous process. Number 3, it makes the business ready for a big organizational change. Because आपको शुरुआत से करना आता है, you know to do things from the very scratch. You are a risk taker. Your business becomes a risk taker. So big organizational changes are also not a very big thing for your company. आसानी से कर लोगे आप. Number 4, it uses IT solutions. It uses IT systems to automate a lot of processes, right? PPR. प्रॉब्लम भी वही है. प्रॉब्लम भी सिंपल है. जब इतना कुछ अच्छा है तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम इज वेरी लॉजिकल, right? Resistance among the workforce. लोग कहेंगे यार फिर से पूरा प्रोसेस शुरू कर दो. People will resist such a change कि यार पूरा खत्म करके नया सा शुरू कर दो. What is this? Like, are you mad or what? Right? This might become a problem. It disturbs established hierarchies and functional structures. जो existing चीजें उनको तोड़ देते हो, it becomes a problem. Right? It will disturb things in the organization कि यार ये तो प्रोसेस ही खत्म हो गया, अब नया से शुरू करते हैं. It might disturb a lot of other operations in the company. आप कुछ प्रोसेस कर रहे हो चेंज, it will affect lot other things in the company as well. ऐसे थोड़ा वो isolation में process है. That process is a part of an entire organization, right? It involves resistance among the workers. People will not want to change. Number 3, it involves time and expenditure, right? It involves a lot of time, it involves a lot of expenditure. Loss of revenue भी हो सकता है. If you're changing it from the beginning, आपको मान लीजिए IT system introduce करने में it takes 3 months. 3 months, there might be loss of revenue as well because that process is discontinued. एक नया process आ रहा है उसकी जगह, right? There might be loss in revenue also. And finally, setting targets is tricky and difficult, right? It becomes difficult because you're doing from scratch. थोड़ा सा tricky है, थोड़ा सा challenging है. It involves a bit of risk as well. Risky भी है. Business process reengineering is a risky thing. If that thing doesn't work, आपने पूरा process ही उठा के खत्म कर दिया. And now you're saying कि बॉस हम लोग नया प्रोसेस लाते हैं and that might not work. अब फिर से पूरा हटा के पुराना करोगे क्या? So if you do a new thing and then they think this is not working, चलो पुराना वाले करते हैं. People will start leaving your company. भाई तुम यही खेलते रहो, तुम नया पुराना करते रहो. We are going somewhere else, right? So BPR brings about those problems as well, right? It's very simple. Siddharth, BPR versus your OD versus change management. Everything is different. सब कुछ different है. Concept ही different है. Change management तो पूरी organization पे होता है. BPR is on a process. Definition में ही answer है, sir. Sir, where are you living, sir? The definition is the answer to all those things, right? So your BPR and change management पूरी organization के लिए होता है. BPR एक process के लिए. Okay. The final topic we have is called benchmarking. Benchmarking, we all know Sharma ji ka beta, right? Sharma ji ka beta is benchmarking, which means comparing with others, right? Comparing with your competition. It helps the organization to get ahead of the competition, but is not the magic bullet for all problems. Benchmarking say what you can do is you can understand where the competition is and where we are heading. Where the competition is and where we are heading by comparing, by benchmarking. Yeah, this is what I have to achieve, right? This is what I have to achieve is benchmarking. What is benchmarking? बहुत simple है. All India rank लानी, right? All India rank लानी है CA में हमको. CA intermediate में finals में I have to get a rank in CA finals or CA intermediate or foundation. What you do, that is benchmarking. Right? That minimum top 50 India में तो आना ही है. That is benchmarking. This is what you want to achieve because people are achieving that. That is considered to be the best thing possible in your examination, right? That is the best thing possible that can happen in your examination is you get a rank. That is benchmarking. What is considered as the best thing to happen in your industry, in your thing, that is called benchmarking, and you aim to achieve that. Benchmarking क्या है? To find out what is the best possible thing in your business, in your life, probably anything. To benchmark it, यार ये achieve करना है. That means I will be successful. I will be profitable. I will be a good business. I will be a good person. I will be successful. Success की definition आ गई. That is benchmarking. That is benchmarking. Okay, quickly समझते हैं इसको. Setting goals and measuring productivity based on best industry practices, right? इंडस्ट्री में सबसे ज्यादा अच्छा कौन कर रहा है, हमें उसके जैसा करना है, हमें वहां तक अचीवमेंट करनी है. दैट इज माय बेंचमार्किंग, राइट? हु इज द बेस्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री, मुझे उनके जैसा बनना है. हु इज द बेस्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री, वैसा प्रोडक्ट मुझे बनाना है. दिस प्रोडक्ट इज द बेस्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री, मुझे ऐसा प्रोडक्ट बनाना है. दैट इज बेंचमार्किंग. दैट इज बेंचमार्किंग, राइट? A benchmark may be defined as a standard or a point of reference. For example, 10 minutes delivery. अभी first thing Blinkit or Grofers, they introduce 10 minutes delivery. अभी सबको करना पड़ रहा है. That is benchmarking. that has become the best practice in the industry, that 10 minute में delivery हो सकती है. But that became a benchmark for all the companies, and now all the companies are doing that. They have to do that because that has become the best industry practice. That has become the best industry practice, and people are setting their goals to achieve this. Companies are setting their goals to achieve the best industry practice, and this is called benchmarking. And this is called benchmarking, right? It is also a process of continuous improvement in search of competitive advantage, and benchmarking are repeated periodically. That means हर बारी कोई नया अच्छा बनता जाएगा, right? आज like let's say आज Adani is the richest person in India, कल मुकेश अंबानी थे, then there will be someone else who is the richest. ऊपर नीचे होता जाता है, right? It is repeated period. Similarly, आपकी benchmarks will change. आज ये अच्छा है, कल वो अच्छा है, कल ये अच्छा है, कल ये अच्छा है. This is the best. परसों कोई और best हो जाएगा. The day after someone else will be best. Your benchmarking also keeps changing periodically. Daily नहीं होता है. Periodically you keep changing your benchmarks as well. 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 1.5 years, 9 months. कभी भी. It depends on your business, depends on your decision. But your benchmarks also keep changing, right? Because the best industry practice might also keep changing. आज से 100 साल पहले जो इंडस्ट्री प्रैक्टिस थी कि कोयले से ट्रेन चलेगी, that might be not the best practice today. आज like they're doing magnetic trains, right? So magnetic energy से trains चल रही. That is how the benchmark is changing because things are changing in it, right? ऐसे benchmarking also keeps changing and you have to change that repeatedly. 6 steps, very simple, बहुत ही simple है, बहुत ही simple. First, identify the need. भाई benchmarking करूँ क्यों? Why should I do benchmarking? Because you want to be the best, you want to achieve competitive advantage. That is why you will do benchmark, right? Clearly understand your existing business process. पहले अपने आप को समझो. Understand what your business is. Can your business even achieve that or not, right? Can your business even achieve things? पहले अपने आप को समझो हम क्या करते हैं, हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं. What is my capability? You identify the best process, right? You identify the best things that are happening. You identify the best benchmarks that are happening. Benchmarking is the best thing that is happening in the industry. अब वो identify करते हो. Then you compare your own processes and performance with that of others. Right? You compare your own performance with the benchmarks. You prepare a report and implement that. कि अच्छा अगर मुझे best बनना है तो मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? And you start doing, taking the necessary steps, right? आपने देख लिया मुझे बेंचमार्किंग क्यों चाहिए. यू अंडरस्टैंड योर सेल्फ, यू इंट्रोस्पेक्ट योर बिजनेस एंड यू अंडरस्टैंड ठीक है मेरा बिजनेस ये कर सकता है. यू आइडेंटिफाई द बेस्ट प्रोसेसेस, यू कंपेयर योर ओन प्रोसेस विद देम कि अच्छा मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा. देन यू स्टार्ट डूइंग दैट. ठीक है, देन यू स्टार्ट डूइंग दैट टू व्हाट टू बिकम द बेस्ट इन द इंडस्ट्री. दिस इज व्हाट आई हैव टू डू एंड यू स्टार्ट डूइंग दैट. एंड फाइनली यू इवैल्यूएट कि अच्छा जो हम कर रहे हैं क्या वो हमारे को मतलब दे भी रहा है. whether I'm able to achieve that, whether I'm able to achieve the benchmark, whether I am coming close to the benchmark or not, right? Those are the 6 steps, very common. हर चीज में same steps हैं. You identify, you do that, you implement, you evaluate, right? Everywhere it's the same. Everywhere it's the same. So 6 steps in benchmarking of becoming the best in the industry to achieve a competitive advantage. If you do benchmarking to achieve a competitive advantage कि भाई चलो इंडस्ट्री के बेस्ट जैसा बनते हैं so that we are also one of the best companies in the industry, right? That is why we do benchmark. And with that आपका syllabus ही complete हो गया सर. Your syllabus is completed and we still have 30-35 minutes on hand, right? Your entire strategic management the syllabus is complete. I'll take 2-3 minutes for any questions because I've been speaking for the last 2 hours continuously. Let's take 5 minutes on any questions and doubts. Then we will also do a case scenario. 20 minutes में case scenario करेंगे, right? 20 minutes I'll allocate to a case scenario, and then we will also discuss some doubts, questions, subjective answer कैसे लिखें, right? A few things around doubts, questions that you have. We'll spend 10-15 minutes on that then. Right? Absolutely. Thanks, Pooja. That really gives me confidence that you understand the concept and you have like grasped all the concepts and I'm able to explain that. See, the idea is I should be able to articulate what I want to tell, right? I might not know everything, but I might know what I'm teaching right now. But in a way, I can think more in terms of, because I've read this multiple times. Probably you might be reading first or second time. I have read all these things like 10 times. Awesome, awesome. Sure, Sharu. We'll talk about examinations also, tips and anything that you can do. All concepts are clear, wonderful. Congratulations to you, Jimmy. All the entire syllabus is complete. All concepts clear. Great, Kushi. Great to know that. Okay, cool. Let us not waste your precious time and let us begin with this case scenario. Okay, it's I think it's 9:04 right now. 9:20. 15 minute में case scenario करेंगे. Speed पकड़ेंगे, right? We'll understand how to do case scenarios in speed. Quickly we'll do the case scenarios, right? एक ही case scenario which is basically on page 76 of the booklet of cases. You can go and refer that if you want to. Do not see the answers. Try to solve that here. Let us very quickly do the case scenario, and then we'll take 10 minutes on exam preparation. Okay, cool. 3 minutes on my clock. I'm just setting 3 minutes on my clock, and I'll change the slide. Okay, read the case scenario very carefully, and then we'll solve the questions. Read the case scenario very carefully, and then we'll solve questions. I'll also mark as we read. Right. I'm moving to the next slide, right? I am moving to the next slide. In 15 seconds, I am moving to the next slide. In 15 seconds, I'm moving to the next slide. Cool. Next slide now. Okay. Can we go on to the questions? 15 seconds again. Read carefully. Let us go to the questions then. Right? You see how I am underlining the things that I think might be important, or the concepts hidden in those things. Whenever I see there is a concept hidden in any of the lines, I underline it. कुछ भी अब मुझे पता नहीं if the question is going to come from this or not, but I'll underline whatever concept I understand. Cool. Okay, let us go to the questions. I'm doing this quick because exam maybe you will not get much time. Okay. So first question: introducing sugar-free milkshakes by Lactocalci falls under which product market strategy as given by Ansoff? Right. Introducing sugar-free milkshakes by lactocalci falls under which product market as given by answer? What do you think? Quickly 15-20 seconds only. टाइम नहीं है आज हमारे पास. एग्जाम में भी टाइम नहीं होगा. एग्जाम में बहुत प्रेशर होगा. I'll quickly go on to the next question then. A. Okay, Pooja says A. Rohan says A. Very quickly. एग्जाम में टाइम नहीं होगा. बैठ के सोच रहे हैं क्या करना. नहीं, टाइम ही नहीं है. भागो. Right? Use your brain carefully. Be very focused. Concentrate and find out the answer. So this looks. This is what it looks. Okay, got. This is how you have to do an examination, right? Okay. 5-7 more seconds. A. Product. Diversification. Product. Okay. The answer is product development. Right. It is from chapter number 2. You will see the page number and the section I put for reference if you ever want to. Right. Product development. The company introduced new products into existing market. New product, existing market, which is covered under product development. Existing market word use hua tha. That is why it is product development. It is product development. Absolutely, you're right. Let us go on to the next question. Next question, very quickly. Which of the Michael Porter's generic strategies was adopted by lactocalci to gain competitive advantage? Was it cost leadership, differentiation, focused cost leadership or focused differentiation? कौन सी स्ट्रैटेजी यूज की गई है माइकल पॉटर की जेनेरिक स्ट्रैटेजीज में टू गेन कंपेटिटिव एडवांटेज? वेरी क्विकली, एग्जाम में टाइम नहीं है. यू हैव टू बी सुपर डुपर क्विक. You have to be super duper quick. Focus differentiation. What about others? Kushi, Nagari, Shraddha, everyone says focus differentiation. Let us go and see what the answer is. 5 more seconds. Quick. 5 more seconds. Exam में time नहीं मिलेगा. Focus. Differentiation. The correct answer is differentiation strategy. Why? Why do you call it focused? Where is the focus of it? See, chapter number 5 से लिया है to make the product unique. The company also adopted distinctive product packaging design, as a result of which the company was able to charge a premium for its products. Thus, differentiation strategy. How is it focused differentiation? Focus कहाँ है इसमें? Where is the company focusing? What is the niche market? There is no niche market. It is selling to everyone. It is not just selling to a focused market, right? It is selling to everyone in the market. It's a mass product, which is differentiated through packaging. Packaging designs they have differentiated. It is not focusing on particular niche segment of customers. It is a mass product for everyone. Why are you getting confused with a focus differentiation? कौन सी market को he is differentiating? Tell me. In this, where is it? Where is it saying? कहाँ पे आ रहा है? It just did a new range of sugar-free milkshakes. Sugar-free milkshakes तो सबको चाहिए, right? It is not just a small market जिसको sugar-free milkshake चाहिए. Everyone. It is also introducing to existing customers. अभी existing को बेच रहा है, नए customer को बेच रहा है, नए लोग आएंगे, existing customers आएंगे. So this is a new product for everyone in the market. It is not a focused differentiation, right? It is not a focused differentiation. It's a pure differentiation, right? Focus as of sugar free. Exactly. You're getting confused. Sugar free पढ़ते different focused कैसे हो? Did we mention that only women between 20 to 25 who are focused on health, or only pregnant ladies? If I would say I introduced a sugar free drink for only pregnant ladies, that is focused differentiation. अभी differentiation में तो मैं सबको बेच रहा हूँ. Existing customers. The case scenario says existing customers plus ideally new customers also. क्योंकि मैं I'm doing a new packaging. I'm selling to existing customers as a main focus. प्लस और कस्टमर्स भी आएंगे. आई वेलकम देम. ऐसा नहीं है मैं किसी लड़के को बेचूंगा, सिर्फ लड़कियों को बेचूंगा, सिर्फ बच्चों को या बूढ़ों को. मैं तो सबको बेच रहा हूँ. It's a differentiation strategy. Just because sugar free लिखा है, you will get confused. यही तो केस सिनेरियो है. You do not have to get confused by sugar free. Sugar free is for everyone, right? It's a differentiation strategy. Next question, quickly. Do not get confused by sugar free. Sugar free कहाँ define करेगा focused? So this is you cannot answer your questions on assumptions that sugar free तो सिर्फ diabetic patients के लिए होगा. So can you not drink that drink? Probably you would also want to drink a sugar free drink. Why not? You are also everyone is health conscious आजकल तो it's a mass product. Health conscious products are a mass product, right? नारियल पानी सिर्फ क्या डायबिटीज वालों को पीना चाहिए. Everyone should be drinking coconut water. ऐसे तो coconut water is also focused differentiation, but it is not. Question on the screen. Which central thrust area was at the focus of lactocalci's management while implementing business process re-engineering? वापस चलें क्या? आंसर देखने. स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड आंसर है. बिजनेस प्रोसेस री-इंजीनियरिंग कहाँ हो रही है? Where is re-engineering happening, right? Where is re-engineering happening? Tell me. The answer is here. Let me go to the question. Quickly. Total distribution time, total distribution, total inventory, total cycle, right? Total inventory. The correct answer is total cycle time. Total cycle. The answer is on the screen also. Okay. See, the management responded swiftly and re-engineered its business processes by intake support. ये है आपका case scenario से where I took this from. Okay. For inventory management and logistics support, this reduced the overall time taken by business to reach it to its customer. They have introduced technology for inventory management and logistics. Inventory management ही तो है. सिर्फ logistic होता तो distribution time था. सिर्फ logistics होता तो distribution time था. But inventory and logistics is total cycle time. By reducing the total cycle time, damaged significantly and ensured health development of the business. Because it is inventory and logistics, it becomes आपका total cycle time. सिर्फ inventory होता है तो total inventory, सिर्फ logistics होता है total distribution, right? But inventory and logistics है तो it is total cycle time. इसीलिए it is total cycle. दोनों चीजें हैं. So the entire cycle, inventory भी logistics भी पूरा cycle complete हो गया. Inventory to logistic to people to inventory to people, logistic to people from inventory to logistic. पूरा साइकिल में दे हैव ब्रॉट अबाउट ऑटोमेशन. इन्वेंट्री में भी लॉजिस्टिक्स में भी. सो पूरे साइकिल में ऑटोमेशन. सिर्फ टोटल साइकिल टाइम. एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली नॉट जस्ट इन्वेंट्री, नॉट जस्ट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, इन्वेंट्री एंड लॉजिस्टिक्स. ओके, कूल. लास्ट क्वेश्चन ऑन द स्क्रीन. Quickly answer. What kind of leadership did Mr. Rohatgi portray to pull out lactocalci from the sudden disruption? Was it transactional, transformational, transparent, or translational? Right? What kind of leadership style did Mr. Rohatgi show? See, order time can be user experience, right? Ananya, probably order time maybe keyword could be customer experience or customer selection. Logistics maybe order time aa jayega, right? But the time you place an order is more like user interface. User experience is basically on your order time. So the logistics is movement of goods. पूरा आपका delivery, warehousing, सब कुछ मिला दो. So that is logistics. You studied this in logistics versus supply chain. बहुत ज़्यादा 40-45 minutes we studied. Quickly, last question from the case. Transformational. Just 5 more seconds. The correct answer is transformational. Right? Correct answer is transformational. Transformational leadership is most suitable in turbulent environments, in industries at a very start or end of life cycle. Portrayed transformational leadership, the keyword, the two keywords were, एक तो it is most suitable in turbulent environment, right? Whenever there is pressure, बहुत ज़्यादा pressure है, you need transformational people. Plus, the keyword I saw for transformational was passion, right? He was really passionate. So passionate operations there, and he re-engineered during the troubled times. During troubled times, Mr. Rohatgi was very passionate, and he came in when there were troubled times in the company, right? So he became a transformational leader. He became a transformational leader. What we'll do is, we have 10 good minutes. Shoot your questions, shoot your doubts, whatever you want to understand, anything related to how to write answers or what doubts, how to read a case scenario, how to read a question, any doubts on any concepts. Let us spend 10 good minutes on understanding things that are missed out or things that you want me to, right? Cool. You have 10 good minutes. Shoot your questions, shoot your answers, shoot your doubts, clarification, something you want to know, right? Probably one simple guide I'll give you is, once you want to go into articleship, industrial training, or job, I keep saying this: go and build your network on LinkedIn, right? It is going to help you a lot in terms of finding the right opportunities, in terms of understanding भाई करना क्या है. That will give you a lot of clarity there. Go and build your network there. Sure. A central thrust of BPR, see, central thrust is central problems. Okay. So Kushi, central thrust is basically आपका central problem क्या है? Why do you want to change a process? उसकी central problem क्या है? That is what central thrust means. Ideal सबसे core में problem क्या है? Major दिक्कत क्या है? That is what is core thrust. That is what central thrust of a BPR is. Okay? In last question, option C and D are not part of the syllabus. Just telling you. Transparent and translational, these are just given to confuse you. These are just given to confuse you. Transparent and translational, वो T से बनाने थे, so I gave you an option. But ideally, अपने syllabus में सिर्फ transactional और transformational है. Transparent और translational, तो translation क्या होता है? Translate करना. Google Translate से मैंने translation बना. It is like your 3 idiots, right? Raju, Fahrenheit and Rajulization. ये वही किया मैंने. This is what I have done in 3 idiots वाला thing. Fahrenheit and Rajulization, that is transparent and translational. These are not part of your syllabus, just to confuse you, right? Okay. How to write an answer in examination. Okay, I'll tell you how you should actually write an answer is probably go, like you can find something on YouTube as well. Go and see how people write answers. Second is, what you can do is just go through past examinations suggested answers. The best way to get good marks in the examinations is ICAI always gives suggested answers. आप suggested answers जाके website पे देखिए and you understand how does the institute want you to write an answer. My honest opinion is, do not become hero कि मुझे सब आता है मैं बताता हूँ कैसे आंसर लिखते हैं. You might not get the desired marks. You might be absolutely right. But to get good marks, go and see the suggested answers and understand how are they writing the answer. How are they wanting the answer? कि format क्या है? इसके बाद ये लिखो. First you write down the heading, then the concept that you understand, then you link that concept to the question, right? And then you give your answer. So 4 paras में बांट दो. First you tell कि आप क्या समझे, right? What is the question and what is the concept you understood? Then you explain how is this concept portrayed in this question, and then you give your answer. This is something that is also given in the suggested answers. Go to suggested answers, read 15-20 answers for every subject. You will understand how does institute want you to answer a question. That will give you a lot of clarity. That is something that I did personally, so that might help you as well. Right? How to manage to clear IPCC. So how do I manage to clear IPs in first attempt is probably just I suggest don't study too much. Study only how much you can, and try to give your best in whatever you study. 2 घंटे पढ़ते हो, 4 घंटे पढ़ते हो, 10 घंटे पढ़ते हो. Depends on you. Just study what you think you're best at, right? For the full concentration, so if you study even for 2 hours, you're going to get great marks. I assure you that. It's more about the quality of study than quantity. It's more about how well you study than how much you study. How many marks MCQs or case scenarios can we expect, and do we only write answer or answer with explanation? Always answers with explanation. There will be subjective 5 mark question also. There will be MCQs. There will be case scenarios. सब कुछ होगा, right? Go and see past examination papers. A lot of us, including me, I never used to look at suggested answers, past question papers. देखते ही नहीं. हम सिर्फ study material देखते रहते हैं. Just go to the website and explore kind of material there is. Question papers देखो past year के suggested answers देखो. You'll understand कि यार exam ऐसे है, right? You look at past year question papers, you understand कि this is how an examination is going to come. आपको 10 question papers देखोगे, एग्जाम में जाके आपको झटका नहीं लगेगा ये क्वेश्चन पेपर ऐसे कैसे आते हैं, राइट? तो ऑल जो डाउट्स की एमसीक्यू होगा या केस सिनेरियो होगा, आंसर कैसे लिखना है, लुक एट द क्वेश्चन पेपर, लुक एट सजेस्टेड आंसर्स, मॉक टेस्ट पेपर्स देखो. डू नॉट सॉल्व दैट शुरू में, जस्ट गो एंड रीड दैट, जस्ट गो एंड अंडरस्टैंड अच्छा ये होता है, ऐसे करना है, राइट? सो दैट यू अंडरस्टैंड करना क्या है, right? That will solve a lot of doubts that you have. Go and explore the resources on Board of Study website. Excellent resource, right? Okay, tips for exam. How do we, after exam, where to join articleship, how to choose the firm to join, when to join? See, based on articleship, my personal experience says you should ideally, if you want to go, so you need to decide what you want. You want to go into industry, you want to do a job after your CA, go aim for a big four, right? That is going to help you. But if you want to get into your practice, go for a mediocre firm. The exposure will be entirely different and that will help you. So what you want to do after your CA should decide what kind of articleship you want to, right? For making, oh, wonderful. Thanks, Charu. That I'm really happy that all the concepts have helped, all my examples have helped. How to prepare is study the study material thoroughly, look at the PPTs. I keep uploading the PPTs. You can go through, these are your revision notes. You can take them as revision notes. That concept क्या है समझ आ जाता है. Somewhere you have examples also. You understand कि अच्छा ये concept था, अच्छा ये concept था, right? The videos are on YouTube. आप revise करना 1.5 2x पे देख लो. You will revise quickly. That is how you can revise, right? See, what is better, one group or both group, really depends on your capacity, but honest opinion, always try for both. It really benefits you in the long term. You should aim for both groups. अगर आपको मुश्किल लग रहा है, it's better to clear one group than to fail in both, right? एक में पास होना is always better than failing in both. So aim for both, but if you think कि नहीं है, preparation नहीं है, go for one group, clear it. Really depends on your preparation, but ठीक है, the ideal situation is go for both, I would say. Even if it is ambitious, even if it is tough, the long term it helps. Okay, how do you underline while reading the case study? I just look at the concepts and keywords. जैसे आपने देखा passionate कर लिया, change, designing, packaging, re-engineered. I just keep underlining the concepts that I find. So let me go back to the case scenario, see what I done. Okay. While reading what I did, envision. जब envision पढ़ा, so I thought अच्छा vision and mission statement से कुछ related, right? The management envisioned the future and they put that in a new statement. So I thought अच्छा ये तो vision statement, mission statement से कुछ related है. Let me underline. When I'm doing a question, मुझे refer करना तो दोबारा पूरा ना पढ़ना पड़े. I just go to this point. Then I introduced new product, existing customer. अच्छा मेरे को समझ आ गया, product development की बात हो रही है. New product, existing customer, underline कर दिया, right? Then advertisement. So marketing strategy का भी कुछ बात हो रही है यहाँ पे. Advertisement campaign है, तो I'll just underline कि ठीक है, marketing का question भी आ सकता है probably. Then it became the most selling product, right? Anticipated. Most selling product means market leader. मेरे को क्या लगा कोई क्वेश्चन अगर मार्केट लीडर से होगा, वेदर दे बिकेम द मार्केट लीडर और समथिंग, दिस इज व्हाट दिस थिंग सेज, द मोस्ट सेलिंग प्रोडक्ट ऑफ द कंपनी, और एसबीयू भी हो सकता है that this is a particular brand which is the best SBU of the company. मैंने वो अंडरलाइन कर दी, राइट. देन दे अडॉप्टेड डिस्टिंक्टिव प्रोडक्ट. अच्छा, डिस्टिंक्टिव आगे सो आई थॉट अच्छा डिफरेंशिएशन से कुछ बात हो रही है. डिस्टिंक्ट प्रोडक्ट मीन्स डिफरेंशिएशन का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट पूछा जा सकता है, तो आई अंडरलाइन डिस्टिंक्ट ऑल्सो, राइट. देन एज अ रिजल्ट दे कुड चार्ज हायर प्राइजेस. मुझे समझ आ गया कि अच्छा डिस्टिंक्ट प्रोडक्ट है और हायर प्राइजेस है, दैट मीन्स डिफरेंशिएशन है. कि डिफरेंशिएशन की वजह से आई कैन चार्ज हायर प्राइजेस फ्रॉम द कस्टमर, so I underlined that. When I came here, I said, अच्छा, suddenly political disturbance, external environment, SWOT analysis का कोई question आ सकता है, right? So I underlined that. Then they talked about Mr. Rohatgi, passionate. So I underlined passionate कि अच्छा ट्रांसफर, रोहतगी किसी आदमी की बात हो रही है, लीडर की बात हो रही है, तो इसमें लीडरशिप का कुछ होगा, रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. पैशनेट है, ट्रबल टाइम्स है, री इंजीनियरिंग, बिजनेस प्रोसेस री इंजीनियरिंग की बात हो रही है, एफिशिएंसी की बात हो रही है. सो ऑल द कॉन्सेप्ट्स दैट आई कुड फाइंड फ्रॉम माय सिलेबस, I kept underlining, and then we solved the question. Right? That is how I studied the case scenario. Cool. What is it? What time is better to do articleship? Whenever you are prepared mentally, because articleship में बहुत काम करना पड़ेगा. Absolutely. Hopefully, you will feel you should be confident. You should be absolutely confident about yourself. Right? नहीं, so Sandeep, when your MCQs will have 2 marks now, so probably that MCQ will be थोड़ा बड़ा. The question of that MCQ will be 3-4 lines का. It might have one or more concepts, 2-3 concepts का भी हो सकता है. So that is why the MCQ will be थोड़ा 2 marks also. The MCQ which will carry 2 marks will be थोड़ा lengthy because it will take more time for you to study, तो आपको marks भी ज़्यादा मिले, which is logical. अगर आप 30 seconds में एक क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करें, उसको सॉल्व करने में आपको 1 मिनट लग जाएगा, तो आइडियली आपको 2 marks मिलने चाहिए. That is why it's of 2 marks. Okay. Example really helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Vijay. Cool. So if we have no more doubts, have no more doubts, let us end the session for today, right? And we have completed the syllabus for today. Yeah, we have completed the entire syllabus. Everything is done in strategic management, right? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Great, Shraddha. Great. Good to know. Good to know that the sessions have helped. That is what the aim was, right? That is what my aim was, to wake up in the 7, to make you wake up at 7 in the morning and study, so that it helps you guys, right? So with that, thank you so much for everyone who has joined in for the entire session series. It's been wonderful. It's been a pleasure to talk to all of you, to interact with all of you. And I wish you the best of luck for your examinations, for your life, for all your career, all your dreams, aspirations, right? Take care of yourself, and best of luck with that. Thank you so much. And here we end our entire series of sessions for strategic management, right? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Session is completed. Hello. हाँ जी. Yes. Thank you.